Hello, and welcome to the Weekend Spread, our fourth annual Bracket Pick'em. You're listening to an episode of Heart Hustle Hardwood here on the Schooner Pod podcast network. I'm your host, Bobby. Well, kind of host. Normally, I'm hosting Bobby Howard. Joined today by Boatin Blake, Jamison Maxwell. We're going to be picking a bracket. And your host for today, Ty Lee, is going to be coordinating all of the madness. So essentially how this is going to go down, me, Blake, and Jamison are going to attempt to collaborate on one single bracket, which I'm sure is going to be 100% perfect with no flaws, because if you put three brains together, it's clearly better than one. That's just math. But Ty, as we started last year, you do a great job of hosting overall, but like this episode in particular, you're phenomenal. So I'm going to hand the host reins over to you. But before I do that, guys, anything you want to say before we start, Jamison?
No, absolutely not. This is going to be a very long podcast with a lot of beef and a lot of Blake squealing, and I cannot wait. Let's just get to it.
I literally packed a cooler because it's going to be that long.
I was telling Bobby, I thought this one was going to be a shorter one. I think it's going to be pretty chalky between the three of us this year, but we shall see. That's what the next, hopefully less than 6 minutes is before.
Ty cracked a Miller High Life earlier. I saw that.
I love that.
Yep.
Oh, no free ads. I'm sorry.
I'm rocking the Weiss Baby from No Free Ads, but it's good. Ty, all yours, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So I'm glad anyone who's ever had a job for any amount of time can tell you sometimes it pays to be the best person at your job. Sometimes it pays to be the worst person at your job. This is one of those situations. So I, being almost completely lacking any knowledge of college basketball, am given, I think, the most fun job of hosting the bracket. So without further ado, because of my lack of skill, I will now be exercising in the most fun role on this. This is a terrible intro. I'm showing that I'm not very good at this either. To kick us off, our first game, we're going to start. We're going vertically down. If you're trying to follow along, if you pull up the ESPN bracketology, going first on the left, down, and then on the right down. So we're going to start with the South, roll to the East, roll to the Midwest, and then finally finish with the West if you're trying to follow along on podcast format. So of course, as you can see, looking at your brackets, if you're following along, very first game to kick us off that we are deciding, we have Bama versus a team that is yet to be decided. It's a play-in game. Bama, obviously a controversial team on and off the court because of some off-court stuffs. I've made the executive decision to kind of forego any jokes having to do that for this one, but we will have some funny intros here coming up.
Just pencil it in for Alabama, Bobby. Do we even need to hit the 3 votes on this one?
No, I mean I don't know much about Texas A&M Corpus Christi or SEMO. Blake, no chance, right?
No, voting Bama, but I am nuking A&M Corpus Christi -4 tomorrow. This team loves to launch threes. I think SEMO got a little bit lucky in their conference tournament bracket to make it here. Had the unfortunate punch, the back down punch hit combo. Corpus Christi is going to roll tomorrow, but Bama is the choice.
All right, so we got Bama.
All right, yeah, Bama in the first one. Next one. This is the battle of the most colorful flag. So hear me out on this one. Maryland versus West Virginia. I actually had a hunch, and I looked this one up. So Maryland, a lot of people would describe Maryland's state flag, I'm sure we can all visualize that, as the most colorful state flag, which in a way, in an interpretation of the word colorful, I think you can make that argument. West Virginia, though, technically tied for the flag with the most colors on it at 8. Interestingly enough, that is a 4-way tie between Missouri, North Dakota, West Virginia, and Oklahoma. All have 8 different colors on their flag. Woo! So battle for most colorful flag. Yeah, Oklahoma, number 1 at something that's not a negative for maybe the first time ever. So battle for the most colorful flag, Maryland, West Virginia. Who do we have?
What order do we want to do? Do we want to go Bobby, me, Blake, and snake it, or do we want to change it? Because the person who's last always has the power. Should it be like, Bobby, you go first this time, then I go first the next time?
I like
Blake?
that. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay, you
Put me in
go
the
for
middle.
it, Bobby.
So I'll kick this off.
No,
I feel
Blake
like
does not get the middle.
Blake never gets the middle. We can't have Blake decide every matchup. That would be bad. Okay, so I'm going to kick this off. I like this one's always interesting because I feel like we always see Maryland and West Virginia play each other in different sports. Feels like it should be a conference game, never is. But I'm going to go with the Mountaineers here. I can't admit to seeing much of Maryland, but I feel like the Big 12 teams are really, really good this year, and West Virginia gets a dub here.
Here's my thought process on it. I saw Maryland maybe passing through the channels for I watched for about 5 minutes. Like what I saw. I think I saw some good things from their guard, Jameer Young. Played some good stuff. But I played West Virginia. I've watched them a lot this season. It seems like they're always on whenever I'm looking for a Big 12 game. And there's one polarizing guy on their team, Blake, and I want your thought process on him. And it's Eric Stevenson, the player for West Virginia. And man, he has the constant green light. Constant. And let me tell you something, that might be a good thing when it's a tournament. He could get hot, but I think he's the type of guy who could absolutely tank them. He could go out there and go like 1 for 12 and continue to shoot. I think Maryland's a pretty good basketball team. I think Eric Stevenson stinks it up. Give me Maryland Terrapins.
Well, I guess I get to be the deciding vote. And although I do not like this makeup of this West Virginia team, Eric Stevenson, yes, can be great. They're better offensively, probably than most of the Bob Huggins teams. Suck on defense. But Maryland came out hot in the non-con, got some big wins versus Miami, St. Louis, right out of the gate. They've just been night and day. Home, they're killing teams. Road, they cannot win to save their life. I am not backing them on a neutral court whatsoever. Their entire conference, they were just losing away games left and right. I think one of their only wins was Minnesota, who is considered one of the worst Power 5 teams in the nation. I'm not taking any part of Maryland. Kevin Willard, great first season, but I feel like the experience of Bob Huggins pulls through here. We're moving on West Virginia.
Not only that, I feel like the Big Ten has been wildly overrated this season.
There's been a lot of overrating this year.
Fair.
I mean, I think there's some good teams in the Big Ten, but obviously there's a lot of overhype with it, and it's just because the clout that it has.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, give me this next one, Ty.
So, who did we settle on there?
We went with West Virginia.
All right, so we settled on West Virginia. So next one, San Diego State University versus Charleston. So looking for an intro in all of these. This one was tough, and then it just light bulb moment it came to me. Battle for who gets to be the second most relevant coastal city in their respective states.
Man, Blake has to be number 2 on this. He might have some hope. Everyone knows that Blake's going to fade San Diego State. But I really like this San Diego State team. People see these 5-12 matchups, and they see a team like San Diego State. Oh, they're not part of the Power 5. They're really not that good. I like this team. I've kind of paid attention to them a little bit because Blake seems to fade them all year. This is a team of veterans. And a team of veterans, upperclassmen, I feel like have a better shot to not going to get upset in the first round versus a team like, Charleston. I think San Diego State, Weather Storm, wins this game.
This is the easiest one on the bracket. We are moving on, Charleston. This Charleston loves to launch threes. I absolutely loves it. They're going to light up San Diego City. This isn't even a question. San Diego City, before we went into the whole COVID break and yada, 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 stuff like that, they hung a conference championship banner before the season was done, thus cursing that program and honestly kind of the entire Mountain West. The Mountain West has been really crappy in the tournament. They've only been to the Sweet 16 4 times since the inception of the conference, and that hurts me. A conference that I love. San Diego State isn't going to break that trend, though. They are not the Mountain West team that's going to do that. Give me Charleston, light it up from the 3-point line. I just feel like the San Diego State team, they're too concerned about guarding the paint. They're not going to guard the 3-point line. We see our first 12-5 on the board go down. Go Cougars.
Yeah, I like San Diego State to make a deep run in
Yes,
this tournament.
he does.
They're
Yes,
seasoned.
he does.
They are seasoned. They are seasoned, and not, they really remind me of another scrappy dog who had a lot of experience. Really heartwarming story. They really are the TCU football.
No,
They're going to be the TCU football of this March Madness thing. It's just I really take a shine to them. I think the Aztecs get a really big win here and start a march to Houston.
no.
Let me tell you something. I couldn't agree more with you, Bobby.
Oh, beautiful! Look, we got 2 on board. Look, let's just move them. Let's just move them all the way down at this point.
We are going to we got to brainstorm some sort of thing because like I guarantee that San Diego State is not making it past the round of 32. There is absolutely no way. Charleston could be a little bit variable, and I could see that. There is no way they get past the round of 32. We can think of a bet, we can think of something, but I'm guaranteeing that right now. San Diego City not making it that far.
Well, San Diego State advances. Ty, what do we got next?
All right, so next up, Virginia versus Furman. This is a basketball game. Unlike what I thought, it is in fact not a court case against a suspected moonshiner where the importance of evidence custody was established.
That's great. Blake, you start.
Well, I think this one, we're, in my mind, going to see 2 double-digit seeds in that round of 32. Give me the Paladins. I worry about Virginia. Like, they don't have that elite talent that they once did when they won the national championship. I feel like the pack line is kind of becoming a thing of the past whenever you have teams that are just launching threes, kind of Steph Curry style in college basketball now. And Furman is that team. They just launch. They don't defend very well. They launch threes, which is kind of what you need against the pack line where you're just trying to shoot over them the entire time. You're not going to drive the paint, but that's not a worry for the Paladins. And I'm also worried. I can't remember his name. Oh, Ben Vanderfloss. Virginia is one of their sharpshooters out for the tournament. I just feel like Tony Bennett gets another upset. I'm going with Furman here. I love that 13 matchup right there. So Paladins move on in my mind.
I'm with you on that one. I think Furman the past couple years have been kind of crafty, kind of tricky. And that hasn't translated in the tournament yet, but I think it does right here. They get a massive upset against the Who's here.
Isn't their first time in the tournament for a long time? Am I?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
that?
like over 40 years.
What's Bobby saying here?
And they are
damn right. It hasn't translated in the tournament, Bobby.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it hasn't translated tournament success because they haven't gotten there. I'm just saying, like, I feel like you see them like go on hot streaks.
Good save.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't saying like, I was saying like you see them like succeed in like November, or December, and then
I think they got like upset as the number 1 seed in their tournament. Like, didn't they get buzzer beat for the loss last year?
Last year versus Chattanooga on a like.
That's what it was, Chattanooga. And we loved our boy Chattanooga. Oh man, we were excited.
We loved the Mocs. We loved the Mocs.
Well, I guess Furman's going on, but I mean, yes, they don't have as many stars, Blake. But obviously, I'm not going to say I've watched too much of their recent, but at the beginning of the season, K.A. Clark's, I think, is like a really good leader, and he's a type of guy that can slow down the basketball game like Virginia wants to, and they play really good defense as Virginia teams do. I think that having a good leader like that could really help them. But it looks like we have Furman moving forward.
All right, Furman advances. I'm sorry, Ty.
Surprise. Maybe our first upset, I think. But so Furman advancing. Next game up, of course, as you guys can see if you're following along. Again, we encourage you to do so. Creighton versus NC State. Fun fact, Creighton established back in the day with what we would consider nowadays a rather measly $200,000 grant. I thought that was kind of interesting because coincidentally, that's 199,999 more than the number of people who can point out where Creighton is on a map.
Oh, Creighton, the Blue Jays. That has been a program that has been really, really fun to watch. And when I visited Omaha, where Creighton is, I didn't realize how fanatical they are about them, but they really do love Creighton there. NC State here snuck in, kind of got into the tournament in a weird way. I think the Blue Jays are better than them, and I think they get a win here.
Yeah, I think Creighton wins. But honestly, I liked them a lot. And then the tournament came, And I understand, you can't really read too much into it. And Xavier's a really good basketball team, but losing by 20 plus for Xavier did leave kind of a sour taste in my mouth. NC State kind of being that bubble team that got in, obviously people kind of want to just push them away because people thought that maybe they weren't as deserving as some of the other bubble teams. I still got to go with talent. Obviously, we're going to support our boy Trey Alexander, obviously one of the Nimhard brothers there. They've got good guard play, and I think that really helps in the tournament to have a good scoring guards. And we saw what happened, last year. Good scoring guards obviously can do really well and go far in the tournament.
We can get to this in later rounds, but I'm a big Creighton guy. I think they're underseeded as hell. I think that's just because Kalkbrenner had mono at some point this year, and they were going on a losing streak, and they are a 6 seed versus the NC State team that honestly probably should not be in the tournament. This team sucks. The Clemson, who was also on the bubble, beat them 3 times this year, cranked them twice. I know that's not the whole thing, but Clemson plays a lot like Creighton, and Creighton's the significantly better version than them. This is going to be one of those. I don't care what spread you give me when it comes to Creighton. I'm taking them in this first round matchup. They are going to demolish NC State. It's over. I think Creighton moves on easy. One of my favorite picks in the tournament.
That was great, Blake. You said Clemson cranked them, so Clemson cranked Creighton twice. Was the that's a good one. So next game we have Baylor versus UCSB. I think that pretty much everyone is going to have Baylor to move on past University of California, Santa Barbara. You already know where this is going. It's a cheap Californians moving to Texas joke. So Baylor moves on most likely. That's the popular place for these people to move.
Oh, I mean, if people are going to start moving to Waco, California's getting really desperate. They
just watch a lot of Chip and Joanna, and they think that Waco's just like that everywhere.
Waco's it's the LA of Texas, man. They got Magnolia Network. They have TV networks there.
You're right. I should have thought of that. That is totally my fault. I hope that they are not listening to us right now. But here's the deal. Like you said, I think Baylor is poised to be, if they can go out and make a little run. But like as Blake said in the Big 12 tournament preview, obviously they have some deficiencies. Like they do not play defense well, and if they do not have their guards making shots, they're really upset prone. So it's really kind of an either or for me. I don't really have a strong opinion on UC Santa Barbara, and if I did, I would look at Baylor to be an upset kind of team. But I think guys, like LJ Cryer and Flagler, then Keontae George being the freshman, are just too much talent to really get overtaken here. So I'm going to pick Baylor, but I think honestly I might pick UC Santa Barbara to cover that.
Yeah, I agree with Jamison, the conclusion, but I think Santa Barbara keeps it really close. Like, this is a really senior-led team. They're very old, and they're physical. And, kind of what we saw, they're not as good, obviously, defensively as Iowa State, but, Iowa State plays a pretty physical brand of basketball, and that was Baylor's Achilles heel. We've seen it time and time again. Those physical teams, even when TCU at full health, gives them problems because they're just kind of a finesse 3-guard shooting team that doesn't really rebound, doesn't play defense like your typical Scott Drew teams. I think this one's really close. I really want to take it, but I don't want to get too wild. I don't want to get too wild just yet. There's plenty of upsets on this bracket. This one's super close. I think Baylor moves on barely just because of that, their 3-guard lineup, but it's going to be damn close. This one's going to be very, very close.
I'm frustrated that I'm last on this one because I had a very rousing speech about the Gauchos and how pumped I was for them. I'm going to be in Denver during the first and second round. I was going to seek out some Gaucho fans, really try to assimilate into their squad, try to fire them up for a run. But no, I because I'm last, I can't convince y'all to move
luck.
the Gauchos through.
Bobby,
It just happens.
Gauchos fans that are going to Denver is very few and far between.
Yeah, I was like, how many do you think there are?
You are going to spend your entire anniversary trip seeking these fans and not actually celebrating the occasion. You will you will not find these fans.
Well, hold on now. I might I will celebrate my anniversary, but also with the Gaucho fans. It's a
You
little
won't
something
be able
old,
to
something
find
new.
them.
Something old, something new, and they're already blue. So not only that, but the ones that do travel, they're going to be hardcore and super cool. So if I did see a Gaucho fan, I bet they're awesome. But no, they're going to be gone probably by the time the weekend hits. But man, I don't know. I was ready for the Gauchos to make a run. I feel like Baylor's been really shaky. They looked not great again in the Big 12 tournament, and I don't know. They just seem really prone here. And the Gauchos are fun, but no. Well, let's move Baylor on. So,
All right, up next, Mizzou, Missouri versus Utah State. Winner of this one gets the claim to fame of being the winningest, fourth most relevant sports team in their relative state.
Oh, congratulations.
all right, I'll kick us off here. I don't have a strong feeling about either of these teams really, so I'm gonna go with Missouri. I don't know. I'm gonna go. This is one where I'm just.
Was this
kinda
Blake's
go
first time to go? I think Blake was supposed to go first on this one.
I
This
have
was
no
Blake. This
idea
was Blake.
what this order
I'm so sorry.
is. I'm
This
just
was
kind
this
of
was
like-
Blake. I'm sorry. This was Blake. I skipped.
So it's Bobby goes first, and I go first, and then Blake goes first, and then Bobby goes
I
first.
thought it was
and-
like I could just never be in the middle. Like I could never
no.
split the two.
Blake goes first.
Okay.
Blake goes first.
No.
I'm sorry. I got you there, Blake. My apologies.
Well, you know
Yes.
Bobby's pick. Just go for
Well,
it, Blake.
I wasn't even that strongly into it, so I can be convinced.
Wait,
Ooh.
Bobby, what were you again?
I mean, to start, I was Missouri, but not really.
You're dead wrong. You're dead wrong, man.
Okay, cool.
This Mizzou team is so overrated.
Yep,
Both
me
these
too.
teams. Hey, I will say this. Boat race alert. Bet the over on this one because these teams are going to be flying around the court. Missouri does not play a lick of defense. They just try to score. That is it. Utah State, a little bit of defense, but they're both top 15 in offense. Like, these teams are going to shoot like no other. I just think Missouri's a little bit overrated because they're a Power 5 team, but they play no defense. And I just feel like this Utah State team, like any team coming from the state of Utah, always seems to be veteran, even when you're a freshman, just because you're usually starting at the age of like 23, 24, 25. You're going to get those more experienced guys coming from that state. I think just because Utah State plays an ounce of defense, I think Utah State goes on. I do not trust this Mizzou team whatsoever.
That was a very convincing speech. I like Utah State then. I
I was going to pick Utah
State.
State anyways, Bobby, so you don't even need to change your answer. You can just stick with your Missouri because Utah State's moving on. I just think Missouri just got boosted here. I feel like the SEC tournament. Can y'all hear me? Sorry, I was lagging there.
Yeah.
Everything good?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So I feel like Missouri got boosted a little bit because they went out and beat Tennessee, this highly ranked team. But I feel like the people that were on the committee, I'd hope, didn't really take that as a good win because once Ziegler being out for Tennessee, like they just seem like they just don't have that it factor anymore. Missouri's just been kind of like a middleman team, and Utah State, I just think can go out there and get an easy upset. And honestly, they're the underseed and they're a 1.5 point favorite. So
Yeah,
think
I was
there's a lot
like,
of
it's
people
not
that
even
are
an
really big
upset.
on
They're
Utah
just
State.
a better team.
All right, so we've reached a consensus on that one, I believe. Up next, Arizona versus Princeton. This one is a classic East Coast versus West Coast battle. I understand Arizona, not on the coast, but very much West Coast when it comes to the university. You got the classic, stereotypical East Coast, old money, kids with 4.0s versus Arizona and their California kids with a 2.5 and new money. Who do we have?
I'm going to go Arizona here. I feel like they've been pretty solid all year, and this just doesn't seem like a spot they'll trip up in. So give me the Arizona Wildcats to progress over Princeton.
No shot. Arizona by 20 plus.
Yep. Yale would have given them a better shot, but Princeton got the last bump. It's just, this is bad. It's going to be Arizona all the way.
All right. So coming up next, we're now rolling into the East. You can't see it on there, but we are now rolling into the East. Purdue versus a game that we have yet to see who's going to be playing in this one. I've been trying to decode these abbreviations for who Purdue is going to play. I still have a Texas Southern versus Florida Democratic University. I still don't know. So I think we're all going to have Purdue in this one.
It's
because
Fairleigh
nobody's even
Dickinson,
heard
I
of
think,
these
right?
places. That sounds less believable than what I said.
Is it Blake? Is it Fairleigh
Fairleigh
Dickinson?
Dickinson, yep. Fairleigh
Yeah.
Dickinson University.
That sounds like someone's ex from middle school. That doesn't even sound like a university.
Oh,
Hey, how about we just defer this? Let's get the Boatin Blake Crumb report on this 16 seed game.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna back Texas Southern out of principle. One, they have I think 10 or 11 wins this entire season. They are by far the worst record in the tournament. But Fairleigh Dickinson has no reason to be here. They did not win their conference tournament. Justice for Merrimack. Merrimack won the NEC this year, but because of the dumbass rule from the NCAA that if you come from D2 to D1, you have to sit out 3 or 4 years from postseason play. It's stupid. It's dumb. FDU didn't deserve to be here. It's Texas Southern. It was always Texas Southern. But in this matchup, give me Purdue.
all right. Yeah, we're moving the Boilermakers
All right.
on for sure.
Yep. So Purdue not going to peter out just yet. So rolling up to the next one. Okay, Memphis versus FAU. This one, these two teams really have a lot to play for. When you talk about the tournament, you talk about first 4 in, first 4 on the bubble, first 4 out. Right here, we got two teams that were first 4 out for the Big 12. Now they're up here in the tournament.
Who went first last time? You can go. Just go again. Yeah, Jamison.
All right, sure. Yeah, so I haven't really seen much about FAU this year. I understand that they have a pretty good win-loss record, but I'm sorry. I'm just going to go on recency bias. And I watched that Memphis-Houston game, and I understand Mark Sasser being out was a big deal for them, obviously changed momentum a lot. The way Memphis played in that basketball game, really good. Where I see an 8 seed from them, I'm like, what's going on here? I feel like Penny Hardaway good game planning and really shut down that Houston basketball team. It's not just Sasser. They got 4 other guys in that starting lineup are very quality basketball players. Memphis put it together. I think they've got a lot of momentum here. And what we've seen is people that make momentum plays, win conference championships, make a little bit of damage in the tournament. So I'm going Memphis.
Is it me? I guess it is, because I'm going for it. I agree with Jaime. I think this one is a really enticing game for the first weekend. Two teams that probably were not seeded correctly. I think FAU, one of the best teams in the nation. I don't care what conference they come from. The Conference USA is pretty damn strong. They got Jelly Walker and UAB. They got North Texas. These are great teams that they were just sweeping up all year long. So I really like this balanced FAU squad. Great on offense, great on defense, but kind of like Jamison said, this Memphis team just has that it factor. They've played one of the best teams in all of America, Houston, and they're consistently playing them close. If you look at Memphis, Kendrick Davis is a rock star, a former TCU player, former SMU player, and now a Memphis as his final year of eligibility is at the Memphis Tigers. I like what Penny Hardaway builds when he just does these veteran teams. It doesn't try to get Amani Bates down there. It doesn't try to get James Wiseman down there. He's doing it all wrong. These veteran teams get Memphis a lot farther. This is going to be a great matchup, and it sucks that one of these teams are going home. I'm going with the Tigers, though, just because I want to see that next round matchup so damn bad.
Yeah, no, Memphis and FAU both do feel a lot more dangerous, or feel like pretty dangerous teams in the 8-9 spot. And it is a bummer that both of those teams can't go on and try to take down a 1 seed. But I'm with y'all. Memphis has been very, very good recently. They have that confidence. They're putting it together at the right time. I think it translates and sets up that massive, massive second round game that I'm sure we're going to have a really good conversation about.
All right, so Memphis to move on. Looks like that's setting up a pretty good round or pretty good game. And I'm very upset that my first 4 out of the Big 12 did not land as hard as I expected it to. But anyways, up next, Oral Roberts versus Duke. Will Oral Roberts be able to resist the temptations of the devil, or will the devil get Oral to lose?
Blake, you got this.
There's 2 scenarios you want coming out of this game. I'm going to tell you my first. You want Blow Bob to go on. I want Oral Roberts to move on past Duke. This 12.
I've never heard that before.
This 12 seed crop this year is fantastic. Like the 12s and the 13s are probably the strongest we've ever seen before in our entire lives against a Duke team, which a lot of people are going to tout as really hot. Yes, they've won 8 or 9 straight in the ACC, but I think the ACC is a complete sham of a conference this year. I think that I think they finally put it together towards the end of the season, but beating UVA in a championship game, as I've shown before in this bracket, doesn't garner much respect in my mind. Oral Roberts got Max Amos and Connor Vanover, a transfer from Arkansas. He's huge, 7'5". I love what they have. I think this team, even if they don't go as far as the team that made it to the Sweet 16, I think this is the best Oral Roberts team we've ever seen. 12/5. I don't care if I'm doing it for twice in a tournament. I'm going for it. Give me Blow Bob.
Look, as much as I would love to roll with Blow Bob here, I just kind of can't. Because I feel like John Shire has things kind of figured out at Duke. That run in the ACC tournament feels good. And I just feel like Duke's not that bad. I don't think they're bad enough to lose to Oral Roberts. I feel like we're still riding that high.
Oral Roberts is good, Bobby. That's the thing. You're like, not that bad that they would lose to Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts is a great team.
No. But what? Okay,
they've won 17 straight. They didn't lose a conference game.
I'm okay. Yeah, sure, but they're not. Look, there's a difference between Oral Roberts and Duke. You know, it's different. And not only that, but because they had their run a couple years ago, I feel like they're going to, they're not going to overlook Oral Roberts. 2 years ago, it was 2, right? When they beat Ohio State. Yeah, I just don't see them overlooking them.
Wasn't that last year?
No, that last year was St. Peter's, and then the year before was Blow Bob.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, so I just don't think Oral Roberts, I don't see Duke overlooking Oral Roberts. I like the Blue Devils here.
Here's my thing, and I don't know why Blake wouldn't even talk about this. Dickie V's diaper dandy of the week was Kyle Filipowski over at the conference tournament week, and you're not even going to talk about how good Duke's been playing?
They've been playing in a bum conference. The ACC is a whole bunch of bums out east that just have name brands that we all recognize. It's not a respectable conference. You see that one of their top, I think, 3 seeds, or was Pitt a 2 seed, barely made the tournament. This conference is buns. Get them out of here. I don't want to see Duke. I don't think John Shire's that good of a coach. If you're gonna go with Duke here, root for them to make the national title and win it, because that would be hilarious for Coach K's legacy. But that's all I want to deal with Duke. They're a trash program. They're a trash program in a bad conference.
Miami was 1, and then Virginia. No, so I think Pitt was 3, and then Virginia was 2, and Duke was 4, because it was a 2 versus 4 matchup in that final Duke Virginia, which just shows how sloppy it was. But Duke's starting to put it together. I'm telling you, diaper dandy, Kyle Filipowski. I knew Blake wouldn't like Kyle Filipowski. Putting it together, they got some talent. Derek Lively, I know he's not going to make a lot of impact on the offense side of the ball. Going to be hard to score. Little tiny Max Abmas is going to try to get to the basket, and oh my God, he's going to see Kyle Filipowski and Derek Lively, and he's going to be like, nope, can't do that. People know Max Abmas now. They're going to be glued to him. I think Duke wins, and it's going to be easy, and a lot of people who are going to see Oral Roberts on that bracket are going to get upset again. Duke double digits.
All right, so we've settled on Duke. Contentious one, but we will have to move on. Coming up next, Tennessee versus Louisiana. This one's interesting. It's actually a tiebreaker. So they're now playing this game as they've tied in a battle for lowest literacy rate.
Oh my God. I'm going to go with the Vols here. Not much to say. I just kind of like them here.
Great analysis, Bobby. But let me tell you something. I feel like a lot of people are going to put Tennessee on upset watch. Obviously, didn't really look too stellar. Lost in the tournament to Missouri. And then everyone's going to talk about Ziegler going down. Like, oh, no, they don't have Ziegler. Tennessee's going to lose. Yeah, does that make them, they're not going to have a far run in the tournament. Yes. Louisiana, whenever I've looked at their track record, do I see anything that just jumps off the page like, wow, man, this team could really make an upset here? I just can't get behind Louisiana. If Tennessee was playing one of the fun 13 seeds or a better, a 12 seeder, I don't know what happened. Yeah, I would think about it. I just can't get behind Louisiana. So Tennessee moves on another week, but I'm just not expecting too much out of them.
Yeah, I think Louisiana was one of the weaker opponents to come out of the Sun Belt Conference. Like, I would have loved to seen a Southern Miss, a Marshall, a JMU there to put Tennessee on upset watch, because I think Rick Barnes has demons. He has demons that he cannot seem to escape. He's like one of the few coaches, the Matt Painters, who's the Iowa coach? They all got those demons, and I think if it's Tennessee doesn't lose this round, it's the next one. I would love for the memes, but I will just take the Volunteers this time, hoping they lose in the round of 32.
McCaffrey, right?
Yes, Fran.
All right, so Tennessee to move on in that one. Coming up next, we have Kentucky versus Providence. The state of racehorses looking to gallop through the first round, but will the Friars fry their hopes? Kind of weird that they named a team after fry cooks, but
you can totally see it by their logo. I actually watched one full Providence game this year because I was using DraftKings Sportsbook in Louisiana and I wanted to bet some college basketball. I watched them play Marquette. Marquette, really good basketball team. That's whenever they were making their run up. But Providence, just watching that basketball team, yeah, they had some talent, but it just didn't get me too excited. And I kind of see this as a trend. Like, maybe I watched a game or two of a team this year, and I just didn't really get me excited. They didn't have that it factor that popped out the page, and I just really can't get behind them. I'm just going to go with talent. I understand Kentucky has got a lot of wasted talent, but Oscar Tshiebwe, no matter what happens, is always going to put up numbers. He's going to be a force, and he's going to be tough to deal with. I think Kentucky wins this one.
Oh no. I muted myself. I'm going the exact opposite, Jamison. I love this Providence team, and this is more of a pick that I want to see happen, and I'm backfilling the analysis into it to make it seem like it's educated. Is Kentucky probably going to win? Yes. But do I want Providence to win to cause one of the funniest offseason storylines of John Calipari on the extreme hot seat? Probably would get fired if they lose. Would this be 2 or 3 years in a row in the first round? He is on a bad cold streak when it comes to March. And this Providence team, the Bryce Hopkins revenge game. Bryce Hopkins doesn't get enough minutes, moves up north to Providence, and joins Ed Cooley. This team is cold, but they are feisty. I think even if you don't like Providence to advance, bet Ed Cooley as an underdog. He's hitting at a 65% clip as an underdog. He knows how to coach. This team's feisty. Whenever they get down, they always find a way to claw back in. Whether they win or lose, that's an easy pick against the spread. But I just want Providence for the memes, the stories. It would just be, it would be an off season to remember if Providence upsets Kentucky.
You know what? I'm going with the Friars here, mainly because I feel like Calipari is checked out. I feel like this Kentucky team just doesn't look right. They have not looked right all season long. And it feels like the end of an era, the end of a guard. And I feel like this is the end of the road for Calipari. So give me Providence to advance.
I think I put Kentucky in my Final Four last year or some baloney.
The last 2 years, everybody's had Kentucky going deep, and it just womp womp.
I just love Oscar Tshiebwe. I really do. That dude just plays with heart, and I kind of low key like Jacob Toppin.
Yeah, honestly, Kentucky, if you look at the roster, they have so many great pieces, and you're if they could just put it together, they would be a solid team, has good veteran leadership, but, Calipari just can't do it. He wasn't able to do it really with the freshmen in the final few years whenever he was doing that experiment, and can't do it now with the senior experience squad, so who knows where his role is in college football or college basketball moving forward, but I get what Jamison's saying, but the Providence, that would be hilarious. It'd just be awesome.
It would be great.
All right, so big upset, the Friars to move on. Coming up in the next game, we have Kansas State versus Montana State. Big Sky, I say big yawn.
Oh, Blake, fight him.
This one's hard for me because I love the Big Sky. I was watching the Big Sky semifinals, Montana State versus Weber State, a double overtime game. The worst game I've ever seen in my entire life. I think going into the first overtime, we were tied at like 50. By the end of the first overtime, it was like 54-54. These teams are like, I love Montana. I love Montana State. I love the Big Sky Conference. Horrendous play. They play slow. They can't miss shots. I've never seen more air balls in my life. If Kansas State just gets running, this Montana State team's going to get gassed because that conference just plays slow. They play physical. And I don't think K-State goes far in this tournament, and it breaks my heart. But I feel like every bracket special, I go in on why the Big Sky team is going to upset from like the 15, 16, 14 line, the team that they play against. It never happens. I don't even think they cover the spread. It's not close. This conference is great to watch. It's a great late night watch. Just don't trust in the tournament. I'm taking the Wildcats. It hurts me, but give me the Wildcats.
Yeah, no, doing this pod every year, we always hear the Big Sky hype, and they always let us down.
The first one I went on like a soapbox for Montana on why they
over 2-seeded Michigan.
Yes, and like I think they proceeded to lose by 35. Like
it was bad.
They were like in our Sweet 16.
Yes, they made it very far in that tournament. Granted, there always is that double-digit seed that you don't expect. Your Blow Bobs, your St. Peter's, your, I guess, Loyola Chicago whenever they were good. Like that always makes it a little bit farther than they're supposed to. We were trying to hop on that trend early, but the Big Sky, I guess, just wasn't that conference to do said push for a double-digit team.
I just feel like they never are. And not only that, but I feel like Kansas State under Jerome Tang has been just really, really energized. You saw it when they got announced. They were excited. I know like some Kansas fans are trying to spin it as, oh, look at how business like we are. Look at these amateurs. But I think that energy and that excitement really means a lot when you're a 3 seed playing a 14 seed. You're excited to get there. You're excited to play. And I think K-State and Tang will get this thing going and get a comfortable win against Montana State.
Yeah, I agree. But let me tell you something. I just don't think Kansas State's going to go too far in this tournament. I just think when teams get really physical with them, they struggle. And any team that gets waxed like they did versus Oklahoma, I'm looking at you other teams in the tournament. If you get waxed this year by Oklahoma, you are on upset watch in my bracket. But let's advance Kansas State.
All right, the Wildcats move on to the next round, running a Wildcat, presumably since they don't have a quarterback on their team. I guess everyone's running Wildcat. So up next, we have Michigan State versus USC, a classic traditional Big Ten battle. Two, big teams of the Big Ten, traditional Big Ten teams. So interesting to see that they got matched up against each other in the tournament, coming from the same conference.
Yeah, and it's also a battle of Spartans versus Trojans here, the future conference mates here. To be sure.
Wonderful.
What? Yeah, keep it. I'm trying to keep it 300 like the Rome. Oh, I can't make that reference. Anyways. Forgot about that. Give me Michigan State just out of principle. Beyond just the whole, I hate USC thing. It's Tom Izzo in March. You can't not back him, especially against a USC team, a Pac-12 that I feel like hasn't been terrific this season. So give me Michigan State to advance.
Here's my thing, and this is one of these teams that I know I'm just going to get burned on, and I fall in love with one player, and I've liked this player for a while, and he's just going to be absolute stone cold bricks in the game. But I'm going to still back him. I love me some Boogie Ellis, Blake. I really do. Boogie Ellis is fun to watch. I knew he wouldn't like him. But man, he can do some fun stuff.
He's one of the
I'm gonna
old
go-
guards. Oh, go, give your pick.
I'm going to pick USC. And I'm sorry. I know I'm going to get burned on this. I just like Boogie Ellis.
Oh, Boogie Ellis, that old guard Memphis. I hate those players. Just get them out of my face. I'm tired of being reminded of those Penny Hardaway teams that just dominated the college basketball headlines and did absolutely nothing. I'm with Bobby here. I think it's Michigan State. I think Andy Enfield as a coach is just destined to always get USC into the tournament and then not do much with them after. I think this is kind of, if you're a USC fan and want to get excited about something, I think you're probably the front runner for Bronny James just because of how malleable and controllable your basketball program is. But Izzo, March, in kind of that lower seed, not necessarily that they're going to make a deep run, but I feel like he can always get a win or two out of their teams. He never disappoints. Give me Michigan State.
All right, so we have Michigan State moving on over Boogie Ellis, who is presumably Hector in this analogy. So I guess we're expecting Michigan State to show up with a giant wooden horse, which would give them a tremendous advantage. Coming up next, our last game of the East, Marquette versus Vermont. This, of course, a very traditional rivalry. It started out as a court battle over tax codes and powdered wigs.
Yep, and I think this is one that if you pay attention to college basketball just a little bit, maybe you're not a casual, but you're not a hardo, you love Vermont. Like, Vermont has made the upsets in the past. They've played teams close, the Anthony Lamb teams. They always seem to win their conference. I'm out on Vermont. I am so far out on this damn team that everybody always chooses them as like the next Cinderella. They just aren't that good. They did a West Coast swing at the beginning of the season where they played USC, St. Mary's, and Cal State Fullerton. They only were in that game. The only game they were in was USC, which, as we've seen above, really not that good of a team. So this Vermont team just kind of wipes their little bum American East Conference, comes into the tournament, gets 25% of the fans I know college basketball, Vermont's not that bad. And then they just get trounced. This Marquette team, I don't know if I trust Shaka March, but I know what I don't trust is Vermont. They constantly disappoint me as a double-digit seed. Get them out of my face. Marquette's moving on. Yeah,
Shaka and March, I think a lot of people blame Shaka when the issue was clearly Texas.
No, Shaka is not a good March Madness coach. He's only been to the Sweet 16 one time, and that was the year he went to the Final Four. He is not he's not that good of a tournament coach. It's not a Texas thing. He really wasn't doing it that much with VCU besides the one run. He's a good regular season coach, but I'm tired of the Shaka trying to make excuses for him. He's just not that good of a March coach, period.
Outside of the time, can we talk about outside of the time he took VCU to the Final Four? Come on.
That's one time we've seen coaches do miraculous things and just not be good coaches. Porter Moser did some incredible things with that Loyola Chicago school, and yet he's not even in the NIT this year. It's when you step up with the big boys, big boy thing happens. So I just yes, you had that one magical run, but that doesn't mean you can replicate it year after year.
That's fair. I like what he's built at Marquette, and I think they beat Vermont. I in general really like the guy. I think he made a really smart move getting out of Texas. I think that program is very just kind of overall toxic. So getting out of there was good, and I think Marquette's a good school to win at. So give me Shaka Smart and Marquette Golden Eagles to advance.
No biases here from Bobby talking about Texas
Clearly
being toxic. Obviously, they have their deficiencies, but that team just absolutely blew out everybody in the Big 12 tournament, including Kansas, one of the hottest teams in college basketball right now, that are kind of turning a negative from early in the season, and they're kind of coming out of the ashes. So you got to give them props for what they've done this season, but obviously I understand what you're saying. Marquette, easy, move it on, and then we will get, obviously, Houston, I mean, Blake, are you going to consider Northern Kentucky your boys in this next matchup? Ty, hit it away. Give us the intro.
Yeah. So first game of the Midwest group, by the way, which is really funny. There's a couple schools in here that are hilariously in the Midwest, Houston being one. So to start the Midwest, Houston versus Northern Kentucky. This one being fought out on the court, also in the boardroom of Jack in the Box, where they're looking at where they're going to put their next location. That's not a free ad because that's an insult.
Good.
We're not even going to pick this. I just want Blake's analysis on his boys of Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, Northern Kentucky kind of screwed me in the Horizon Final, so I'm not too happy with them. I was a Cleveland State guy through and through, kind of screwed me over, not happy. I will say this, Houston is used to playing just really crappy teams and wiping the floor with them. That's kind of what the American Conference is. So this shouldn't be that hard if you want to easy just like pick to throw on your card. Houston against the spread, Houston first half. I think even without Marcus Sasser, they wiped the floor in this one.
Blake, what was your thoughts on the? What were your thoughts on the
love letter?
The love letter to the American Athletic Conference from Houston, and
weird, wild, wacky. I don't even know what to think of it. Was it so? The tweet was coming from. Was it the American Conference that sent it to Houston?
Houston made the video, but the American Conference quote tweeted it and said, "No, thank you for the legacy you'll leave behind." And all
no, like as the American Conference, you're about to be defunct with your new teams. You should not be like bowing down to. I know they're in your conference now. You hope they win it this year so you can claim a national championship. But yeah, bad luck for the American. About to be worse than the Conference USA. So.
The responsive response was Ty photoshopping in Olivia Rodrigo lyrics in place of the Americans' tweets, which was just great stuff. But
that is the thing that happened.
Move on.
Anyways,
Houston.
Moving on. Next game, Iowa versus Auburn. I don't really have an intro for this one other than inexplicably this would be a 7:30 p.m. kickoff if it were college football.
I feel like if it was college football, it'd be in the Outback Bowl. This just feels like the Outback Bowl. I feel like whoever wins
a bowl game, sure, but
yeah. Well, it also feels like a really cool non-conference for sure. But I don't know. I feel like whoever wins this one, I feel like I'm getting a bloomin' onion or some, I don't know, coconut shrimp at the end of this. But I don't know where we're at in order. I know we've been giving if you've been going with the 1 seeds. You'll be kicking it back. Blake, what are your thoughts?
No idea.
Yeah,
where we are.
Yeah, no idea order and no really idea about this game. I think it's 2 coaches, which I just generally dislike. I hate Fran McCaffrey. You think of those Luka Garza years where you thought they were going to go on a big run. Nope, round of 32 exit. You think of Auburn, like they've had a Final Four run in there, but Bruce Pearl, I think, mismanaged Jabari Smith like no other last season. You see some of these other teams that get those 5-star guys open up the offense for him. I felt like they tried to do too much with their guards, not enough with Jabari. I don't like these 2 teams, but it's in Birmingham. I think that kind of gives just Auburn a slight bump. There's not much here when it comes to matchup in my mind. Iowa doesn't play defense. Auburn's just kind of bleh. So I'm going to take Auburn, but no strong lean here.
They have it a mid-off. Auburn gets the bump from being at home, and Iowa's bad in March. So give me Auburn.
I guess I was not going to advance, but I was going to pick Iowa. Another thing, you're going to hear this all the time on this podcast. Watched a full game of an Auburn game because I was betting them on DraftKings Sportsbook in another city, in another state, and I just did not like that Auburn team. It's just like Blake said, bleh. And so, I just think that people are going to talk about Chris Murray the whole time in Iowa, and I can just see brother of Keegan Murray, twin brother, and he's in the Sacramento Kings, the second best team in the West in the NBA. You can just hear it now, and I just know it's going to be a topic in the round of 32. So give me Iowa.
Well, Jamison, when you were in that other city, did you used promo code TPPN, right?
I had used it in the past, but let me tell you something. If I knew somebody that needed it, I'd give them that promo code of TPPN.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't blame them because, look, the biggest tournament in college basketball is here, and right now new customers can bet just $5 on college hoops. Get 200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, for a limited time, all customers can score a no-sweat bet during round 1 and 2 of the tournament. So you just go to the app, opt in, place a no-sweat bet this weekend. If it doesn't hit, you'll get a bonus bet up to $10. That sounds great. I wish I had my promo code TPPN available because – look, these matchups, I don't think they're pretty interesting. Any specific game that you're most excited about watching this weekend, Jamison? So that we've talked about so far.
That we've talked about so far. Let me go scrolling real quick. I think like the most interesting, like closest game, in my opinion, is going to be that 8-9 Maryland, West Virginia. I think it's just going to be a close game, and I really don't know what's to come of it. But like I told you something, I'm fading West Virginia.
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
a gross pick. FAU Memphis all the way on the board.
Yeah, FAU Memphis sounds like a really, really fun 8-9 matchup, and I'm excited for it, for sure. So look, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with promo code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, win or lose. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code TPPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See those show notes for details. Now, Ty, what's our next matchup?
All right, next game, classic. When I think Midwest, number one thing that comes to mind, Miami. Miami versus Drake. I guess they're looking to send him back to Canada. Must have been flirting with other women or something like that.
That's great. I think they accidentally thought this was the Ohio version and just put him in there. Miami, very weird ACC champion. They just kind of stumbled. It's like in Always Sunny when Frank won the wrestling match by just being the last one there because he threw a trash can at
They're a regular season champ, right? Not postseason.
Okay, yeah, they were regular. They were regular season. Yeah. Okay. Because Duke won the tournament.
Duke won it. Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Diaper dandy.
That is true. You got the diaper dandy there. Whereas this game, it's in Albany. Close to neither of these teams because Drake is in Des Moines. Give me Miami, I guess. I don't know too much about this Drake team. I would love to hear Blake's thoughts on this because I'm sure he has some tasty thoughts on Drake. But for now, I'm going with Miami.
Yeah, I feel like I've watched a couple of like bracket analysis shows where people go in on Drake, and it's the same thing that you hear almost every single year. And I think we've already kind of talked about it this year. I think Blake talked about it with another team. This is an old team, and it's a 12 versus a 5, and they've got a bunch of veterans, and they shoot the 3 ball well, and that's just a recipe for success. But let me tell you something, like there's a player on Miami that I really like, and it's Isaiah Wong. I think he can just go crazy. He can blow up. He can be a name in this tournament and kind of like be like, oh, dang, who is this guy? I really like the way he's played. I remember watching him last year too. Like the way he plays. I think Miami runs away with this. And people who said like, oh, what happened? This was like supposed to be my 12 versus 5. And I don't think that's going to be the case here.
Yeah, I've already chosen 2 12 versus 5s. College of Charleston did it with Blow Bob, and I'm gonna do it again with Drake. Drake is gonna beat Miami. I don't care. I don't care if I'm choosing 3 12Cs to upset in this tournament. Jamison kind of did it in the most worst way possible when it comes to explaining this Drake team. There is 25 years or older. There's 11 players in college basketball. 3 of those players are on this Drake squad. They are not just old. They are old. They are grown men. They have 401ks for NIL deals. That's how old they are. And look, you got to look. This feels like a Creighton team, a Dougie McBuckets team, because you look at that Drake squad. Darren DeVries is the head coach and the star player, the star of the Missouri Valley Conference, the MVP of that conference, Tucker DeVries, his son, big guy, forward. I love that matchup. I love it against a Miami team that is just basically 2 guards up at the front, a lot of scoring, no defense. You got a Drake team that's They're good on offense, but they're great on defense. Experienced old men, something that Miami is very used to. A lot of old men live there too, but they haven't played men like this on the court in that stanky ACC conference. I told you I don't trust this conference to move on. Drake is going to upset Miami. My third 12 seed upset. Could there be a fourth later on in this bracket? Who knows?
Oh, I kind of want to pick Drake now.
They're so good. They're men, Bobby. They're men. Miami's some boys at the club, but these are men who are getting some cigars, some whiskey, going to the country club. Like these are men.
To paraphrase a very overused joke, Blake, you're acting like Miami ain't ever seen 3 25-year-old guys come through before to do absolutely unimpressive numbers.
So okay. So what's our opinion on flipping? Can we flip? Is that a flip? Is that a thing? Where do we stand?
Oh, I think so for sure. It's not competitive between us, so I think flipping should be allowed for the pod bracket.
Flip.
They say they. Oh man, let's do Drake.
All right, so Drake with a big upset. We're gonna go ahead and keep it moving. We just hit the hour mark. Indiana versus Kent State. So this one,
we have a whole region left.
This one is interesting.
Oh, no.
It's okay. We've picked 50 something games. We only have like 60 something more to go. Anyways, this one, this is an interesting game. So at the Army Navy football game, people always say over and over, after the game, all the grads are going to be on the same team, which is true in that game. It's also the case in this game. After this game, all the grads are going to be on the same team. That team, of course, is the working at Jack in the Box team.
Oh my God.
Man, really some hate towards Jack in the Box on this podcast. Didn't see this one coming. But let me tell you something. I can throw some hate, and that's the MAC conference, Blake. Not a big MAC-shin guy. I actually really like this Indiana.
So good in March.
I'm legitimately. I just said that because I knew you loved them in March. I just remember that. Okay,
they're great. Okay, go ahead.
I totally understand that. Just was all satirical. But going back, Indiana's a team that I looked at coming into this tournament whenever I was watching them, earlier. I think it's whenever they beat Purdue earlier, maybe late February, early March, not too long ago. I'm like, that's a team I really like. I think this is a team that could cause some damage. I think they've got, they got Mike Woodson as their head coach, which obviously, people have their opinions of him, but he is a veteran head coach. And Trace Jackson Davis is a guy that whenever I was watching, I was like, this kid is good. And I think he's the type of guy that can, put up big numbers in the tournament the way he plays. I understand people are going to talk about the MAC, and people are going to talk about how Kent State in their championship game upset Toledo and got a big W and has momentum. I just had this Indiana team targeted. I like them, and I'm going to stick with them.
This is the biggest toss-up for me. It really is. I don't know where to go with this. I'm picking a lot of upsets. I do love this Indiana team. I love Trace Jackson Davis. I love Jalen Hood-Schifino. Going to be a future NBA lottery pick. Oh, but this Kent State team, a physical team, one that we saw in the non-conference go to Gonzaga, only lost by 6 or 7 points, goes to Houston, only loses by 5, barely loses to the College of Charleston, another 12 seed in the tournament. This Kent State team has proven they can hang with the big guys. Give it to me. Golden Flash. I'm going Golden Flash. I don't care if I'm picking all the 12 and the 13 seeds. I don't care if it's because I watch these teams, probably more than the Power 5, that I get too biased. I love
availability bias, right? With the limited knowledge that, you obviously don't have limited knowledge, but with the knowledge that you have, you think that your way is right. And
yes, I totally
so much
view...
that you think that they're better.
Whenever I watch these teams, I'm whenever I'm watching Texas A&M Corpus Christi, I'm like, they could really light it up. They're kind of dangerous. And then you see them get seeded and they're in the play-in game for the 16 seed. There is no way in my mind, my mind doesn't work like the net rankings in distributes them, how I power rank them. I just see them as good and bad, and I see this Kent State team as good. Oh, this Golden Flashes team, they're physical. I like that. And they've played those good teams and almost beaten them. Kind of like, honestly, pretty similar to their football team. Like, kind of took a hard non-conference schedule and gave people a hard time. I'm hoping it goes better for them this time. I'm going with the Golden Flashes.
Great analysis, Blake. I'm going to go with Indiana.
Damn it.
They have the candy cane pants, and that really won me over.
I'm very happy. I love
this.
This
is why this show is not fair. All voices are not equal, but somehow they are. I gotta go up against Candy Cane Pants Boy, and he has as much of a vote as I do. I guess that's kind of America, but
can we just say this? I know we're not finished with this side of the bracket, but this is an absolute star-studded side of the bracket. I think they are good. Indiana being a 4, Miami being a 5, Iowa State we're going to talk about next being 6, Xavier at the 3, Penn State at 10, and Texas A&M at 7, and Texas at 2, one of the hottest teams in college basketball. Absolute stellar. A lot of teams that I really like.
Yeah, no, it's not the best. It is by far not even close, in my opinion.
Yep.
Well, I think the one we're going to next is really damn good, but I'm saying there's a lot of teams in here I like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys heard it straight from Jamison. Penn State, Texas A&M, and Texas, 3 teams Jamison really likes. Not at all out of context. Certainly that statement will not be used out of context against you in the coming college football season. Anyways, coming up next, so we picked who's moving on in that one. Anyways, coming up next, Iowa State versus the winner of a play-in game between, I think, Mississippi State and Pitt.
Blake, this is you.
It is, I guess. Okay, so Mississippi State, Pitt. My analysis here is this is going to be a disgusting game. You will watch it because everybody wants to watch all the March Madness games, but this game is going to be gross. And just root for Mississippi State because Iowa State, Mississippi State might be the lowest scoring March Madness tournament we've ever seen. Like, these teams love to muck it up, love to play slow, and I want to see 2 teams that are addicted to mucking it up against one another. I don't know what that's going to turn out to be when it comes to that 6-11 matchup, but just root for Mississippi State, get them there, and let's just watch that slop fest. But I'm going to choose Iowa State. I think that team's just, they're the better version of what Mississippi State. They're just significantly better than Pitt. This one's easy. So give me Iowa State.
Most normal people would say, if you're going to cheer for someone, cheer for the team that wouldn't be boring and muck it up and make it a defensive game. Blake goes, if you're going to cheer for a team, cheer for Mississippi State because they're going to muck it up. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's where we're going. We want full sicko mode on this game.
I want to see the ball flying across the court, nobody touching it. I want deflections. I want no easy shots in that game. I realize maybe this is just when you get a little bit older, but an under can sometimes be a little bit more sexier than an over. There's nothing better when you're sitting there, guys are throwing, they're traveling all the time, they're fouling one another, bricking free throws, they're taking half-court shots, airballing those, I think you just there's something about it a little bit more whenever, not when guys are going on 10-0 runs, getting hot, but when everybody's just bricking it.
Is this a betting midlife crisis?
No, the unders can significantly, especially in college basketball, be sexier to watch. There is nothing better than just a brick fest and just it's just a meme out there, but you just knowing you have that under ticket in your hand, just watching this happen, there's no better feeling out there, guys. Try it. Just find that lowest under and just the lowest total and hit that under in March Madness, and I promise you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna have a great night that night.
I see what it takes to properly be a college basketball fan to the degree that you are, because you have to. You seem like the kid who walks by the cereal aisle is you know what? I want the Raisin Bran. Give me the.
I do love Raisin Bran. Raisin Bran Crunch is the best cereal. But Bobby, I'm telling you, there's nothing better. you have like say the under like the total 108. It's 106 with 3 minutes left and nobody scores. Like you're you're watching
going
that.
for it.
You're watching every brick clank off of there, and you're having yourself a night. Like there is very few feelings in the world that can get to that level. So bet a few unders, people. I know overs seem sexy, but it's more those unders, those brick fest.
Do we call that getting bricked up, or
That is exactly what happens when you get those nice juicy unders.
okay? Anyways, to my analysis of this, look, I actually think Mississippi State and Pitt, like, that should be a fun, just sloppy matchup. But Iowa State being at 6, that is a dangerous 6 seed. They're there because of the rigors of the Big 12. They got thrown in the washing machine, the rock tumbler, and they've come out a 6 seed. But you know what? I think this is a good spot for them. I don't think they're in Des Moines, but they're on their way to Kansas City. So if they can get to the Sweet 16, they can make some noise. If they can get to Hilton South in the NCAA tournament, that's a scary proposition. And I think they take this game. I think they're a very good 6 seed. So give me the Cyclones.
Agreed. I'm not really convinced with any of those 2 11 seeds. I think Iowa State handles it.
All right, so Iowa State to move on, but everyone hoping for the nastiest possible game. I can get on board with the Iowa State hate. Up next, Xavier versus Kennesaw State. I mean, these are 2 classic teams where nobody thinks about these schools until college basketball and the tournament comes around. So I feel like both these teams looking forward to shining here.
This is interesting because sometimes I get dumb inclinations about teams just because of what you see in the story, and I'm a big sucker for that. And I know Blake probably hates that, as evidenced by his 4 or 5 year long beef with a nun. He doesn't like the story, so I
like when they focus on the ball, Bobby. I'm all about the ball, and when you're taking those shine away against Cameron Kurtwig and those boys out there actually doing the work on the court, that's what I hate. That's what fair. I hate, getting taken attention away from those guys.
That's fair. But I really like the story going on at Kennesaw State. I know Xavier is really good. They had a great run in the Big East tournament, but I just have a weird feeling about Kennesaw. This is, I believe, their first ever tournament appearance. They just have these vibes. They're going to go for it. This feels like a 14 seed that can, knock off a name brand in Xavier. So I'm going to go with Kennesaw here. Let's go out on a limb. Let's get weird.
Yeah, ain't getting weird. I like Xavier. That team, whenever I see them this year, I feel like at least earlier in the season, I understand they've been a little bit choppy near the end of the season. But they just put up numbers. Like I would be looking at the bottom ticker, and I obviously, it'd be against teams like Villanova and Georgetown, but they're putting up close to 90 points and they put up, 102 for Georgetown. I understand Georgetown's not that good, but they're putting up 80 something points in the early part of the season. I was like, this team is just flying, and I really like what they have. Sorry, can't get behind Kennesaw State. Gonna go with Xavier. Like that team a lot.
Yeah, I'm with Jamison. I love the Kennesaw State story. I understand why you get wrapped up in it, but it just seems like this team, this fan base, being their first time going to March, they're just a little too happy to be there. Xavier, experienced coach, and Sean Miller, the old heel back at Arizona, he has gotten Xavier back on the map. One of my favorite names to say in all of college basketball, Sully Boom for Xavier leading the point. He's an electric scorer. I just love what they put on the offensive end. Give me Xavier.
Well, looks like Kennesaw State, unfortunately, will be that team that pops up in one shining moment for the first couple seconds, and then you don't see them again because they lost.
I mean, we'll be lucky if we even see them.
That's fair. Ty?
Oh, give me this match. Give it to me.
Anyways, moving on. Texas A&M versus Penn State. We're just going to be personal with these insults, I guess. Both of these schools think that they are both academic and athletic powerhouses. I'd say they're pretty average in East. So in the mid-off of the Midwest, who do we have?
Here's my thing, and I know I got a little bit of flack for this. I like both of these teams. I like the momentum. You've always kind of seen it with me in the past years. I like momentum teams. That's like whenever I picked Michigan to make the national championship. I think it was like with the Jordan Poole team or whatever. Really liked them then because they got hot at the right time. Hot teams do well. And the way that Penn State played, honestly, was really good. And I think Texas A&M also got hot at the right time. Pickett for Penn State really showed me a lot of things. I think they've got a good squad. Texas A&M's got a lot of talent. I'm struggling to pick this one. Straight up. I think if you're talking about a game that I think is going to be one of the more fun ones to watch, it's going to be this one for me. I'm going to go Texas A&M because I can just see it. I understand we talked about Texas A&M. Texas might not be the matchup because one of them always screws it up in the end. But I think we see it this year, and I'm just going to go with Texas A&M eventually having to play Texas in the round of 32, just based off the storyline. But I'm really excited to watch this 7-10 matchup.
I guess it's me. I'm with Jamison. Like, this is one that when I saw, like, kind of put a dagger in my heart. Like, these were two teams that if they were on different sides of the bracket, like, would be teams that I would choose, like, kind of upsetting teams going far. And it sucks we have to eliminate one right off the bat. Like, this A&M team played really nobody in the non-conference, had some bad losses, but then came, like, once they got into the SEC play, really came into their own. Buzz Williams, a guy that's done it in March before, a team that was like really fascinating to watch. I really like this A&M team, but I can't go against my guy. My favorite player to watch this year in college basketball, Jalen Pickett. Jalen Pickett just takes over games. And my favorite comment of the year came from Brad Underwood after Penn State beat him in the Big Ten tournament and said, how can we stop Penn State? They're playing booty ball because all Jalen Pickett does is he gets the ball and backs him into the post and kicks it out for the 3 to win. I like that Penn State, that Micah Shrewsbury booty ball. Give me the Penn State Nittany Lions. I think this is going to be a great game, but I just can't go against my guy Jalen Pickett now.
Here's my thing with momentum teams is sometimes it works. You have like a Kimball Walker UConn type of team, and sometimes it's like a team that like uses everything they have to get into the tournament. Like say that Patrick Ewing Georgetown team a couple years ago, and then it just falls flat. For me, I feel like that's that Penn State team. They've been inconsistent all season from what I've seen, and they had a great run. Almost took out Purdue. Almost won the Big Ten tournament championship. Fell flat, but I feel like they're going to run into a brick wall with Texas A&M here, who is also hot and has just kind of been a better team all season. I like the Aggies to advance. Ty, have you been keeping score? I couldn't remember. So it's A&M, right?
We have A&M advancing, I believe.
Mm-hmm,
cool.
Yes.
All right. Coming up next to start to cap off the Midwest as we move into the round of 32, or capping off the Midwest, actually, we have Texas versus Colgate. Who cares? Horns down.
Like,
okay. This is another one that kind of similar to Vermont. Like, if you follow college basketball just a little bit, but not too much, you're like Colgate. Like, they kind of dominate their conference. Like, we saw them last year play Arkansas close, like, at half. This team is too high variance, though. They exclusively shoot threes, and they try to move at a rapid, fast pace. You see it work, like, against Arkansas in the first half when they're hitting everything. But then once teams kind of adjust to them and they're not hitting those threes, it gets ugly quick. And they didn't even cover that spread, even though they're up at half. This Texas team, way too experienced. And like me and Bobby talked about on that Big 12 championship pod, I think Texas is going to benefit from the fact that they don't have one of their big name head coaches. They don't feel that pressure that they need to win. Sure, they're a senior team that you want to see these guys go out well, but like people started to sink them whenever Beard went off. They didn't expect them to win the Big 12 tournament, even with that talent. So yeah, Colgate's going to be trendy. A lot of people's going to choose them. They're not going to win. They're too high variable. Don't take this team. I'm choosing Texas.
So hear me out. Colgate, they kind of dominated their conference. They played Arkansas tight. There's a lot to like about them. But no, for real, Colgate, let's go with them. Texas, I'm just being a homer here. Let's go with Colgate.
Colgate lost to Vermont this year, Blake. Another reason to put Texas here. Not even going to even think about it. I was just using a little ESPN thing to look up on Colgate right now. They lost to Auburn by 27. Next.
All right, the Longhorns to move on. Coming into our final group for the round of, I guess it's called the round of
64.
64. Yeah, is it the round of 64? Anyways, first round's final group of the West, Kansas versus Howard. Bobby, I hope you've been stretching. They're coming for you.
Well, you know me, I can play all 5 positions, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. Bill Self, I hope he's doing okay. He needs to rest up because I'm about to give him some pressure.
That was an interesting transition. I didn't know where Bobby was going with that one.
That could have gone anywhere.
And then he's like, I'm coming for you, Bill Self. And then it was like, I hope he does a lot better and rest up. I'm like, just hit Kansas and let's move on to this Arkansas game tie.
There's a reason I had a long pause. It was because definitely remembered what recent events. Let's go with KU. Like, I don't know if you have it. There's nothing interesting to say about Howard, right?
No, but I do want to take this time to rant about how improperly this entire bracket was seeded. That Kansas, who has the most quad one wins of all time, is somehow the 3rd best team in America. I understand, I guess, with Alabama. Alabama at its best, I think, is the best team, but you're not dropping Kansas past 2, and somehow that happened, and they dropped them in this bracket of death down here where TCU, we're going to get to them, is the 6th seed. The 5 teams above them are in the top 11 of KenPom. They're basically half of KenPom's advanced analytics. Top 11 is in this bracket. This is an insane draw that you're going to see about 5 or 6 teams that could easily make the Final Four out of this side.
You also took KU out of Kansas City. So, that's obviously a massive hit. And on one end, I was also equally upset about it. Then I was like, wait a second, it's Kansas. I don't like them. So
how much you want to bet if Houston played Memphis on Saturday rather than Sunday, Kansas would have been the 2 seed?
Oh, I think so. Like, they try to come on and say they have contingent brackets and stuff like that. I don't think so. Like, if you thought that Kansas loss was bad, and they justified it saying Houston lost Marcus Sasser, and so that's why they should be moved. Kansas lost Bill Self for that entire tournament. Like, that's no excuse. And so I don't think they pay attention to those Sunday games. They set it on Saturday and don't touch it.
And then lost to a very good Texas team. It's stupid. Why even count quad 1 wins? Really?
I know.
For real.
At this point, what's the point of the net if Rutgers is not going to get in? And what's the point of quad 1 wins if we're not even going to take them into account when you're going for things like the number 1 seed where quad 1 wins really matter? Like, I love this Houston team, but this Houston team plays in a garbage conference. Like, they're going up against, I think, they only have 1 other tournament team in this whole entire field. And you see the Big 12 have 7. Plus, your 3 on the bottom are still pretty high ones that were on the bubble consistently.
They had the first 4. They had the first one out of the tournament too.
Yeah.
And
as we know in the Big 12, no nights off.
Yeah, no nights off. Play the anthem, Bobby.
I will if a Big 12 team wins the tournament. But Ty, what do we got next?
All right, coming up next. Do not look at a map. Arkansas versus Illinois. Do these states share a border? I don't know. I made that sound like it was cooler than it was. I don't know, and I don't care. Anyways, who do we have in this one?
I kind of want to look at a map now. Who is it? Whose turn is it, Bobby?
I think it's you.
Cool. All right. Let's talk about this Arkansas basketball team because, to be honest with you, I just don't really have much to say about Illinois. Arkansas, obviously a lot of talent. And were they disappointing at the beginning of the year? Absolutely. But I think that I've seen some things recently that kind of get me excited. Let me tell you something. Eric Musselman getting mad, running out of the stadium, all cussing up. Did you like that, Blake? I know that you're a big Eric Musselman yelling. I really enjoy.
I do like Eric Musselman, but I went to go watch that Baylor Arkansas game, and he took a tech at like literally the worst time. Like him and Dan Hurley just love I love when they take like a good tech to fire up their team, but lately they've just been so unhinged. They're taking techs when they're on runs, and like they're run killers at this point. And Musselman has to bring it in a little bit come March, but he's proven himself to be a great tournament coach. So.
Yeah. So what I'm going to get to, I'm going to pick Arkansas, and I think a tournament guy that is really going to put up some heat in this first round. People are going to talk about his stock's going to go up just because this game's Nick Smith. Nick Smith, absolute baller, can shoot the ball. I think he could go for like 30-plus points in this game. So everyone's going to be like, damn, like this guy is good. We knew he was good coming out of high school. Really didn't play too much at the beginning of the season. I don't really remember exactly why, but this guy is good, and I think that he could really, really put up some numbers and help his draft stock.
Like we're in order. It loops down.
Oh, it's always going down. It's always
not
going
that
down.
always
I still have
going-
never figured this
you
out.
you start, go down, loop up.
I feel like
Okay.
I'm always starting, so I just have
Like-
no idea when. But
Blake, it's all right. It's all right. We know you went to TCU. You're a little academically. We can't all go to Oklahoma. But it's all right. We'll explain it to you.
the home of the National Merit Scholar, I can't compete. But Arkansas,
The
Illinois.
second David Board left, we just never put that on any sort of.
Because
I've
I
not
don't.
heard that-
I actually. So I know someone from my high school that I graduated from that came to OU as one. I don't know that even for the last couple years of the Debo reign, that was actually the case. That fact that we were selling, which would not be the only Debo just blatant fraud that occurred. Anyways,
That's funny. Sorry. Yeah.
Just yeah. So Arkansas, Illinois. Both of these teams are just huge potential teams. Like coming into the season, we thought these were going to be probably like two of the title contenders. Arkansas had some issues with injury. Nick Smith, I feel like we never got to see the best of him because of that. And then Illinois they beat Texas and everybody was high on them. And then they kind of fell flat, had a little bit of resurgence. So you're kind of betting on two potential teams. You give the edge to Musselman. He's been a great March coach. He always seems to outperform. He's kind of becoming, I guess, that new age Izzo, where it just feels like his teams, even when they're underperforming coming into March, he's able to will them somehow to the Sweet 16, Elite 8. But I got to go with my guy who I love so much of that Baylor national title run, who is one of the best players on this Illinois squad, and Matthew Mayer.
Gross.
He has been lighting it up. I want him to be a 3-and-D guy in the NBA so bad. You probably ruined that. He probably tanked his draft stock when he missed a game this year because he stayed up too late playing video games and drank 5 Monster Energies in one night and got caffeine poisoning, which I didn't even think was possible. I thought you would see that more on a wild BYU night, but nope, we got it for Matthew Mayer out of Illinois first. So,
Oh my God. Is Jordan Walsh going to be guarding him? That's going to be so fun. Oh my gosh. Like
it's gonna be
all hair versus no hair.
No
It's
hair.
gonna be
Oh my
It's
God.
what a great combination.
I love watching Jordan Walsh. He's a difference maker, but yet it
He's
seems
good.
like but also some games I'm like, you are just doing cardio out there. Like you are just having yourself a nice jog around the court. Like, what the hell are you even doing out there, man? Like you might get a steal, a block here and there, but you're not doing much. But I love watching him play. This one's another, they kind of nailed besides that Iowa Auburn one. I like the 8-9 games. I think they're very enticing, very fun.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
agree.
this is a really good 8-9 matchup. Both states have really cool rivers named after them, I guess. But anyways, I'm gonna go with Arkansas. I like Musselman. I like what he's got going on there, even though this hasn't been their best season. I like him better than Underwood for reasons that I won't go into. Brad Underwood, kind of a scumbag. Definitely not a double agent, but not Brad Underwood. He clearly isn't a double agent. But
Bobby's
anyway.
the double agent because he's mad
What
'cause
are
he's
you-
an Oklahoma State fan.
what
There
are
it
you
is.
No, no, no,
Bobby
no, no,
found
about,
it.
Bobby?
No. Brad
Bobby, why did
Underwood, scumbag.
Why did you just drop a Freudian slip about you being a double agent?
It's called a joke. It's called a joke, Ty.
we
I'm not a
got it.
double
I
agent.
don't know.
Let's go
It's
Arkansas.
a little too close to home.
It was just a prank,
Hounds.
bro. I swear.
look out for mashed potatoes. Be worried. Anyways, Tiger.
What?
Next.
All right.
You see the video?
Anyways. St. Mary's versus Virginia. I tried to pull up my notes and now Excel is booting up. So I'm gonna have to do it from the hip. St. Mary's versus Virginia Commonwealth. Oh, I remember my joke for this one. So while this might be a rather mundane basketball game, St. Mary's versus Virginia Commonwealth, you just know that that's like the Bama versus Ohio State of lacrosse.
I honestly kind of thought that that was like part of your script, the Excel.
No, I hit Excel's next to Word on the thing, and I hit Excel.
It happens.
Anyways.
It happens. Anyways, I like St. Mary's here. I feel like anytime you have a 5-12 and the 5 is from, kind of a traditional mid-major type of conference, not really particularly incredible. Like at St. Mary's, they don't overlook teams, especially a brand like VCU. I think St. Mary's goes in, gets a win, and takes out VCU. But I could see this being a very good game.
I think it's going to be an exceptional game, and I think St. Mary's is a very good team. I have a problem with recency bias. Said it so many times this podcast. I'm sorry, but just the way that game versus Gonzaga went with St. Mary's just leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and VCU's getting hot. I don't think I've picked a 12 seed yet, and it might be the wrong one, but I'm going to pick VCU to beat St. Mary's, and I know Blake's going to pick St. Mary's because he really likes that team. I completely understand it, but here's my time. I'm going to go VCU.
Well, am I going to choose the last 12 seed to have a 4-12 sweep? No. Jamison teased it perfectly.
No.
It's all St. Mary's. This VCU team is absolute garbage. Really, the entire A10 conference, which conference that I love near and dear to my heart. I love me some St. Louis Billikens like no other, but that conference came into the season with Dayton ranked. Holy crap, and did they stink. Like that entire conference, VCU, I'll give you the bill. They can defend the ball like no other, but they cannot score to save their lives. And St. Mary's can defend very well and can score. They kind of deviate from their usual, they kind of find a lot of Australian players, foreign players to come play. Aiden Mahoney, a freshman, California kid, been lighting it up. I think he's the difference maker for the St. Mary's team. Randy Bennett got something going there. I think this one's easy. Move St. Mary's on to the round of 32.
All right, St. Mary's moves on. Next up, UConn versus Iona. That's apparently a place and not just a typo for Iowa.
Okay, how
That's
can
the
it be?
intro.
It's Jamison 100% this time.
It's Jamison.
It is
It absolutely
Jamison.
is. No, it's
Everybody's
Jamison.
looking at me, I feel like. It is.
I wasn't looking at you because it is Jameson.
It is
absolutely
definitely me. I was doing the math in my head as the night progresses, and we're at hour 32 mark
There are
in this
3
podcast.
people, Jameson. How do you have to do math for this?
No, he's talking about the
I don't know.
time. The time.
No, I was trying to do the math because I knew I went second. So I was like, I think that means I go first. And I was thinking about it. Okay, carry on. I really like this UConn team. Screw Rick Pitino. Next.
Did you tell yourself to carry on? And
Yeah,
all right,
yes.
anyways, I think
That's Kendrick Perkins in me.
Yeah, UConn.
Carry on.
Next up, Texas Christian University versus.
Wait, whoa, that's actually
What? I thought we were
Like, didn't
done.
get it.
Ty is moving on.
Neither of us
and
got to pick.
Thought we were done. He said moving on.
No, in this year where you got to respect every 12 and 13 seed, nothing can be overlooked.
I can tell
Granted,
you.
I'm
Of
going
course we have
UConn
to.
here.
Of course, I have to respect every 12 and 13 seed. It's 90 minutes into this podcast, and we haven't finished the first round.
You got to respect them all, Bobby. Just because we're at the end, we're in the bracket of death right now, and y'all are trying to speed things along. Should have started here. Maybe ended with one of those weak ass ones. Like what's the Purdue one? The Purdue one, weak sauce. But anyways, UConn playing like the second or third best team in the nation right now. Kind of how they were playing at the beginning of the season. Had a slump. I love some Sanogo. I do not like the fact that they rely on a whole bunch of freshman guards similar to Purdue, but I love me some Sanogo. I'm going UConn. Rick Pitino has his eyes on the St. John's job, the Providence job, if Ed Cooley leaves, the Georgetown job, basically any other of the open East Coast jobs that are about to come up. He has his eyes set on there. He made it to the tournament, and that's all that matters to him.
Yeah, the only way to get Patino up for this is to have this at the Madison Square Garden and try to, like, I don't know, gaslight him into thinking it's the Big East tournament because he is gone. So yeah, give me UConn. They're hot. Iona is dead team walking because Patino is getting getting a Big East job.
Yeah, I love UConn. Like, that's why I spent like 2 seconds on this one.
All right, so all that to get us right back to where we were just a second ago. TCU versus the, I guess, play-in winner of Arizona State versus Nevada. At least in this one, we know what the acronyms are standing. Well, initialisms, those are different things. This is a whole nother, we could do a 45-minute podcast on acronyms versus initialisms. ASU versus Nevada, initialisms, play-in winner.
Crumbs.
Yep, so easy one on the bracket. I think TCU moves on here, even without Eddie Lampkin. Too much firepower versus, honestly, a grateful draw, the only one in this bracket of ASU, who just kind of got here because they heaved up a half-court shot and beat Arizona to give them enough resume firepower to stay in the bubble watch. And then Nevada, who should not be in this tournament. I love the Mountain West, but Nevada should not be there. They lost to San Jose State and get like in the Mountain West tournament, inexcusable. TC rolls here.
Yeah, Blake, I think the ESPN bracket's wrong because I don't see New Mexico anywhere. I thought they were good.
Oh, San Jose. No, Bobby.
No, there's no New Mexico anywhere.
Yeah, that it was.
If they were so good, why did you bet on them so much?
Because we were doing well till if we would have beaten that San Diego State at home, they would have been in the the bracket easily. But I had to witness one of the worst things. That's why San Diego State cannot go far. That about ripped my heart out. I was going nuts around my apartment when in the final 5 seconds, New Mexico goes up in the pit and we might have San Diego City on the ropes. And then no, they hit a 3.
I see a lot of. I mean, I see a couple Mountain West teams, but no New Mexico. What the heck? No, I'm with you though. I think either Arizona State or Nevada, they're not going to be enough for TCU, even without Lampkin. I will say this would be a peak upset situation. It feels upsetty, but Jim Dixon, who knows with him? So, give me the Frogs here to advance though.
Amen. I wanted to pick TCU to lose in the first round. I don't know why. I just had this feeling. It was just sitting in the pit of my stomach. I was like, I just think that TCU is going to lose in the first round this year. Then they drew Arizona State and Nevada. And I said, ugh, I can't get the heart to do that. I just can't get behind those teams. Whenever I'm picking upsets, I look first, not at the upset team, not at the Cinderella, not the 11, the 12, that team. I first look at my opinions of the team that they're playing against. And I'm like, okay, does this team have a potential to get upset? And then I go to the team that's going to be the Cinderella after that. And I just, step 2 didn't pass for me. Arizona State, Nevada, I just can't get behind them.
Fair enough. We can't force it. Ty, who we got next?
All right. Anyways, Gonzaga versus GCU. No intro for this one. Who do we have?
It would be me going first.
Oh,
Bobby!
It's not that hard, Bobby. You're always going down.
Yeah, no. I blanked for a moment. All right. Yeah, no. So
Bobby.
Yeah.
Are you going to go with the Zags or are you going to zig?
That's funny. Look, as much as I would love the battle of TCU versus the school, the community college rather, that stole their font and their logo essentially, Gonzaga, too good. They're experienced, anchored by Drew Timme, and even though they aren't at the levels that they've been in the past, they aren't, just mowing through teams. They're still very, very good. They get past Grand Canyon here. So give me the Zags.
Not a big Antelope guy. I'm going Gonzaga.
This one is easy. It's Gonzaga.
Yeah. I will say Gonzaga fans in Denver. That'll be fun. TCU fans.
Are you gonna
I deal
go
with-
hunt them out like UCSB fans?
I don't have to hunt out Gonzaga fans. They're gonna be everywhere. You know,
You
maybe
said
I'll-
you didn't have to hunt the
Honestly,
Santa
wait.
Barbara fans either. So
you know, well, really, I'll probably have to hunt out the TCU fans.
You know what? Fun fact that's relevant to this discussion. When I was doing my research for all these intros, UCSB actually has a larger undergrad population than OU. So maybe UCSB fans aren't that hard to find.
I watch their games. I watch their games at like midnight every single time. There's nobody in those stands. Bobby's not
Okay,
gonna see many.
yeah, because
And
it's
Bobby
Santa
is not gonna see
Barbara.
many fans.
It's Santa Barbara, California. Why would you go watch a UCSB game on your time off?
They've been saving up for
Exactly,
Denver, Blake. They've been saving up for Denver.
Yeah, and Bobby's slight against TCU fans there. One, we actually pull a good amount of kids from Denver, so we should have a decent alumni base there. And two, it's spring break right now, and a lot of them are in Breckenridge and Vail and other places. So
Why would they leave?
Because your team is playing in a game an hour away, Bobby. That's easy.
I'm sorry. You think Denver is an hour?
It's an hour and 15 minutes away from Vail. Like if you're in Colorado.
Well, yes, you would have to be in Colorado to travel.
That's what I'm saying.
Vail.
Kids are on spring break in Colorado in the ski towns.
No one is going to take an Uber or their rental car.
It's not that hard to get to Denver from the ski towns. There's like shuttles all the time.
It's also they're not going to spend one of their nights of spring break to watch them almost lose to Nevada or Arizona State, and then or get clobbered by Gonzaga.
No, they will. But I don't think you understand how well like TCU can kind of
For
travel
basketball?
to these things. Yes, for all sports.
Okay, Blake, this is two separate things. Will TCU travel well, like better than the average? For sure. Will any of those people be spring breakers who are taking their time out of Vail or Breck or somewhere else to come into Denver to watch this game? No.
I don't know.
Those are two different things.
It's
Those
at
are
a
two
perfect.
different
It's at a
things.
perfect time at night.
No, see, but
come
you
in.
just said, and I quote, I don't know. Exactly. We've established that you don't know.
No, I do know.
Based
Like,
on how
no, if-
clueless your statements
No, I think
are.
if most people are there and are an hour away, it's at night. You're not missing time on the slopes. You're not like in a lot of these ski towns, it's not open past 10 or 11. The bars, you go down to Denver, you go to the game, which is at 9 o'clock at night, and you like go have fun in Denver. It is not that hard.
Because
It is the easiest detour. It is the easiest detour.
That's not a detour. That's not what a detour is.
It is also a noted fact, clearly, that ski towns do not have any alcohol in them. No bars.
They don't like Bobby. Ski town bars aren't open till like 2 a.m. They're open till like 11. Like the most ski towns, yeah. Like Breckenridge, like the latest bar is like open.
Okay,
till
so if
maybe
the
midnight.
game is at 9, and you're saying that college students are going to say, well, the bar closes at 11, we might as well not even go out tonight.
No, like
Well,
I'm saying, you can go to a city. I don't see how I'm wrong here. Like if Bobby was on a spring break trip in college and his team was playing in March Madness an hour away, and you're saying Bobby would be like, oh yeah, like I'm not gonna go there. Like that's
You're also
foolish.
talking
You're
about
just-
me.
You are backfilling your narrative.
You're talking about somebody who
Okay.
literally just mentioned on the podcast trying to make friends with UC Santa Barbara fans because on my anniversary. I'm not much of a sicko.
Zero traffic. Vail to Denver, just city center, is an hour and 40 minutes.
That's not bad.
Okay, 2 hours. Okay, we got to move on. We're way too deep into this. Gonzaga, great. Did we settle on Gonzaga?
We
for-
settled on Gonzaga.
Yes, and I'm glad that everyone says it's Gonzaga because I get peeved when people say Gonzaga.
Nope, not Gonzaga.
There's
don't
some
call
people
them
that say it.
dogs.
It's
call them
no.
dogs.
Well, I agree, but it's like the same people. Like it's like the Thunder announcers on TV still pronounce Mark Dagnall instead of Dagnall. So sorry to bring the Thunder into this, but there's still some people that continue to pronounce things wrong, even though they're in very high positions.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we supported Thunder player Chet Holmgren's Gonzaga Bulldogs. Yeah.
All right, so next up, we have Northwestern versus Boise State. I think this one is personal for Boise. Personally, if I were from Boise or anywhere in Idaho, I'd be fed up of people from Chicago calling themselves Northwestern. So Boise, I think, out for blood in this one.
Definitely me this time. I just did the math in my head, quick maths. It just took a little while because we did actually go on a detour there, unlike what the TCU students will probably do whenever they're
No,
on spring
thank you for establishing that it is in fact a detour and not just some sort of we could make a
2-hour drive away.
2 hour.
No,
each
I
way.
want to
like
stay out of that.
Y'all have no experience with the infrastructure up there. It is not that hard. You're making
No,
it
we
seem
very much do.
impossible.
Bobby has legal issues. He has tickets tied to us experiencing the infrastructure up there. I can vouch for that, actually.
I found this random
They're
whoopee
taken
cushion
care
on our
of.
desk, so I'm just going to start honking it every time we go
That's
off
going to
topic at this
translate
point.
well. That's going to translate so well. The audio is going to be miserable. All right, guys, I hate this. I hate this game so much. It's a 7-10. You're supposed to be excited for 7-10s. Can't. You know why? Because this 17 Northwestern, I'm like, oh, they've had a really good story. But Darren Rovell's been talking about him too much, and I've been hating it. I'm like, quick, get this Darren Rovell Northwestern team out of my face. Don't want Kern out of my face. But Boise State, on the other hand, I just can't get behind the team either. Don't know what to do. Really don't. All right, screw it. Northwestern. Screw you, Darren Rovell.
I'm really
Nope.
excited to see what Blake has to say
No,
about this.
absolutely not. No, I hate this Boise State team because my largest bet of the entire year was Boise State versus New Mexico State in overtime, and Boise State covered it. I was never mad. And that balding guy, the guy with the long hair that needs to just take the cows home, shave it all off, him at center, annoying as all get out. But I don't think I can deal with the whole media push. The Northwestern, I do love Bowie as their number one player for Northwestern. Another fun name to say, but I don't think I can deal with Darren Rovell. Like, I think at one point, like, I saw that he like asked for the head coaches of Northwestern's like polo off his back after they got like the 2 seed. Like, that man is wild. Like, he's like running sidelines like a little kid. Like, just in your jersey, he did that to like another grown ass man and asked for his polo. So I don't think I can take it. I can't take Darren Rovell running sideline to sideline, like acting like a 5-year-old kid.
Let me tell you something. I feel so much more confident in my Northwestern thing now just because of the hatred of Boise State is going to screw it up so bad for Blake, and Northwestern is going to win in a close one right at the end. Buzzer beater.
Yeah, this is the problem whenever you get two hated teams. It's like if you see Arizona and San Diego City against each other, like you're just kind of hoping the one you hate the most loses. And yeah, this Northwestern squad is insufferable. So give me Boise State.
Oh
Give me
man,
Boise State.
I was really hoping we were going on a Boise kick because of the bald guy that ruined Blake's New Orleans trip.
Well, you're the decider here, right?
Yeah, but I kind of want to go with Northwestern now because he went with Boise. So here's what I'm going to 2 words. Boo booey.
Boo booey.
Boo boy.
Baba booey. Shout out Greg Waddell. He knows way more about college basketball than me. And he loves boo booey. So there we go. Boo booey.
All right. So anyways, I think we've settled that one. To close out the round of 64, UCLA versus UNC Asheville. Tough draw for UCLA that they got the Tar Heels in this one. A traditionally great basketball school. That is, of course, a joke. UNC did not make the tournament, much like OU, which leads me to a fun little tie-in to sort of cap this one off. UCLA is, of course, a Jordan Brand school, which is hilarious because Jordan Brand currently has 10 schools, 5 of which did not make the tournament. And by the way, 4 of those 5 are the 4 biggest brands that Jordan has: UNC, Michigan, OU, and Florida. Very disappointingly not making the tournament. I guess you could argue maybe UCLA is in the top 4 of those brands, but some other, obviously the other 5 Jordan Brand schools, UCLA being one of them, San Diego being another, in the bracket.
I could see you.
Blake, you're on mute.
Blake's on mute.
No, I was talking about how how all the schools that the Jordan brand took in are just kind of bummy schools, just kind of like Jordan with his Hornets, just making a whole bunch
One
of
of them is
bad
Houston.
decisions. What?
One of them's Houston.
Yeah. And
Okay, yeah. How does that argue against the statement?
I know,
that
Bobby.
They're all bummy schools.
Bobby's helping
The
me. He's
definition
helping
of a
me.
bum school.
Hey, you let them in, Blake.
Well, I didn't like. They're
Yeah,
better than
but-
SMU.
so,
I will give them
okay,
that, but still
bummy schools, according to Blake: Georgetown, UCLA, Michigan, Florida, Morehouse.
Michigan,
Blake, you're canceled for calling Morehouse a bummy school. OU, obviously we can't debate that. OU bummy school. In fact, San Diego bummy school, and then UNC, I guess, on the fringe, on the cusp. Could be good, could be bummy.
We treat this like the elite apparel brand out there, but yet you allow San Diego City to rep that little Jumpman on your little lapel right here. So
Blake, a diehard Big 12 fan, only recognizes Bape as the superior clothing supplier.
If we want hype, we go for the hypest, and that's where Bape Big 12 collab coming in with $150 t-shirts. I've never seen a Jordan brand t-shirt cost that much yet. I know their shoes resale for a lot, but let's get those retail prices up there before you can talk to me. But give me UCLA. This one's easy. Yeah.
Hype beast Boatin Blake. Give me the Bruins. Easy.
Jaime Jaquez. You'll hear that name again. Give me UCLA.
All right, we have finally completed the first round. It has been almost an hour and 50 minutes, but we're back at the top.
The better way to say that, it's almost been 2 hours.
It has more than been almost an hour.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, rolling back up, we're just going to keep it rolling. We got.
So we're just over halfway done, right? According to the math, right?
No, so we have 16 games in the 32, 8 games in the 16, and then so you
24.
divide it all by 2, so not that much. Anyways, Bama versus.
So
I think things get easy here though, because we've already kind of discussed.
We already talked about the teams.
I agree.
Yeah.
Bama. No, you don't need to do 32. You shouldn't be saying 32. There's 32 teams. Just immediately mentally divided by 2. It's 16. There's 16 games, and then
yes, but then we got to do the Sweet 16.
Then there's
so
8
games,
there's
24,
right? Then
and then
so plus 8.
And then you got to add 4 for the first 4, and then
4,
subtract.
and then 2, and then 1.
The gimmies that we skipped over, and then...
No, okay. Bama versus West Virginia. Who has it?
It's me. I like Alabama here. They've had their issues, but they're too good for West Virginia. Well tied.
Yeah, I think Alabama could lose to a team like West Virginia. Really do, but I'm not going to pick it.
Oh, God. No. Stop. Bama rolls. Roll
4-hour pod. Please, no.
Let me tell you something. Like I said, this Alabama team, how much did they lose to OU against? Like, how bad
44.
was that game? That Brandon Miller, if you get up in his face, he can't create as much. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but not everybody's able to get up in his face. If it was that easy, then everybody would be doing it.
Well, okay. I guess Jalen Hill's a pretty good defender. I'll give it to him, but I'm telling you, it's not like he's not some Zion Williamson where it's just an unstoppable force. I compare him more to like Jabari Smith, honestly, like in terms of his like play style, where like if you say Jabari Smith, I'm getting in your grill and you can't move, he's gonna struggle.
We shall see.
Fair. So,
right. But obviously, I didn't even pick West Virginia in the first round. So, I mean, I'm just saying that I just don't like Alabama as much as other people.
Next up, Ty, what do we got?
Yeah. The very hated by some, apathetic by others, San Diego State versus Furry Man. Who do we have?
Man, San Diego State is lining up for a good upset versus Alabama in the next round. Give me San Diego State.
Nope. If Charleston's gonna shoot over them, Furman shoots even more. They're not used to these. They like to grind in the paint. San Diego State, they don't know how to go against these 3-point shooting teams. It's Furman. Furman is going. There's been 13, 14, 15 seeds that are getting deep into the tournament every year. Why not Furman? It got to be the Paladins.
No, this is going to be San Diego State.
No,
always been the Aztecs. Move them on.
All
Completely
right,
agree with you, Bobby. Good pick.
Thank you.
Aztecs move on, rolling up to Creighton versus Baylor. I think this will be the first really, really good game, at least that we're discussing right now, or could potentially be rather contentious.
Like,
Yep, so I'm starting it all off, and this might come as a surprise. I'm a Creighton guy. I just do not like what this Baylor team is putting on paper. I don't like the fact that they don't play defense, and Creighton kind of, I feel like, always underwhelms in March Madness, but I feel like this team is special. It's not very deep, but I love me some Kalkbrenner. Kalkbrenner rocks. Like, he's awesome. And I just feel like Trey Alexander, Ryan Nimhard, those guys on the perimeter, they can match Baylor's shooting, but at a tiny bit of defense to it that just gives them the edge. I love Creighton here. I love Creighton to go deep just with their 5-6 man rotation. So Orlando, Florida, I think Creighton moves on.
I like Creighton as well. I didn't like Baylor in the first round in the first place. So I like Creighton here. I think they're a very good team. And I think they move on.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with this one. I was going to pick Creighton for the brand. I don't know. I don't feel like confident. I don't know if I'm going to pick it in my bracket, but I'm thinking about it. I like we said, Baylor is prone. They're prone to upsets.
All right, so Creighton taking the win over the Bears. Hate to see it. Unbearable for some. Anyways, Utah State versus Arizona. Who do we have?
Yeah, Arizona. I like Arizona here. I wasn't even sure about Utah State in the matchup against Missouri. Blake obviously very big on him. It's been almost 2 hours, so I can't remember what his point. Is this the team that was grown men? I can't remember.
There's a lot of grown men, Bobby.
There's a lot.
You want me to go through the grown men?
No,
teams?
it's fine. It's fine.
Yes,
it's fine.
yeah.
We can skip it.
I want Blake to go through because I need to be refreshed on this one. No, I'm serious, Bobby. I need to hear them all. Blake, can you go through all of the grown men teams for us?
First team, all grown men.
First team all grown men.
Blake with just a short bio for each player, if you will.
I'll say top three. We got UCSB. They like to play that physical ball out in the West. We got Utah State, just because any Utah team always seems to have guys a little bit older that are freshmen. So even if you're a young team, you're still old.
Well,
the last one, Drake with those 401ks out in the Midwest. Those guys are older than I am. They are ready to retire out there. So those are your top three old man teams that you should be looking out for.
Okay. The Utah ones, fun fact, it's because with a lot of them, if they're Mormon, they have their mission that they have to go on. And for a lot of them, that includes about a year of learning a language as well. So they have sort of a 2-year delay. The more you know. No, that's a fact. That's a.
Oh,
if you,
yeah, no,
you feel like,
the big.
we're gonna go on a. We're gonna
Tanner McKee. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're gonna go on a year-long
mission
to South Africa or something, you have to learn the languages for a year or so too before you
go. Main
go.
language in South Africa is English.
Well, not the people that need to hear the good word.
They have. I think there's 2 different languages that are going on there.
There's a couple different languages.
Oh yeah, there are multiple languages. Anyways. But no, yeah, Arizona.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Blake, can you help me? I remember the game that I watched.
Right.
Bobby just.
Why did he run off like that?
And he didn't even mute himself. He got up and sprinted to the door.
Why did he run off?
Not even the courtesy of a mute. I don't know what's gonna happen. Ty, you might need to come in and
does he do that at his job? Anyways, so I don't have control over this, but we can move on.
No,
and start
hold on.
So
I'm gonna ask Blake a couple questions about this Arizona team because I know he likes Arizona. Can you go through what they're 2 bigger guys? They have kind of hard to pronounce names. I was watching that UCLA Arizona game. What is it like? Can you educate me on that? Yes.
Bella Cimbalo.
Yes, Balo. I remember Balo. He was the center.
Gentlemen.
Yes, the Balo.
I didn't mute. I see.
No one noticed.
That's lovely.
Bobby.
Oof. Hey, man. That means I heard my little stamps as I was running.
Okay, all right, move on. We got Purdue, Memphis.
Arizona. Yep. We'll talk about
Arizona, though.
later.
Arizona, though.
Yep, Arizona won that one.
I'm looking
Anyways,
forward to going back and rewatching that.
Purdue. Oh, it's great. Purdue
Oh
versus Purdue versus Memphis. I don't know. Purdue versus Memphis. Will Purdue win? Question mark.
I don't know where we are in the snake, but I'll just grab it by
It's
the
Jamison.
neck
It's
and
Jamison.
take
It's
it.
Jamison.
Oh,
Back off
no.
the snake. It's Jamison.
Take it.
Ugh.
That's
Oh,
why I ran
man.
to the bathroom. It's because it was like I could go first.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something. I already told you, I love Memphis. I just think Edie is just gonna work some players in this tournament, and I think Memphis is gonna really have a tough time with them. Games I've watched Purdue, I understand big men can get played out of the game. They're always like, "Oh, get them in foul trouble." I was listening to the game, and the announcer was like, "This Zach Edey, that rarely even gets into foul trouble," and that's what makes a guy like him so special. It's hard to play him out of the game. He's fundamentally sound. And even though I really like this Memphis team, I understand Purdue's, guards obviously have a lot of issues shooting the ball and having experience. I just think it's going to be really hard to beat a guy like Edey. So I'm going to go Purdue.
I'm going with the upset pick here. I hate Matt Painter as a coach. I feel like he always disappoints. Purdue is one of those teams we hype up and just never gets anywhere. Memphis, veteran team, great point guard in Kendrick Davis. And if Penny Hardaway can learn one thing, press this team early. I don't think Edey, I think, is going to get his. I think maybe one game in March Madness, he's going to get into some foul trouble just because these refs are not used to Big Ten refs seeing his game. They're going to be calling it a little harsher. But I just think if they just pressure these guards early, you don't see it till late in games against Purdue. And I don't know why, because these freshman guards are really not that good. They're going to hit their ceiling. So I like Memphis here as the upset. I can't trust Purdue to go far in this tournament. I just refuse to believe that they can actually win this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Blake is going before me, because the one point I had that I felt really smart about was Purdue folds under pressure when you really go at them. And I feel like this Memphis team is bold enough to do that. They're good enough to do that. And I kind of like the Tigers here. I don't know. Seeing Purdue be successful, it just doesn't feel right. It's I don't know how much I can trust it. So my pick's Memphis, but yeah.
All right. Who do we have then?
Yep. So
That's
Duke,
Memphis.
Tennessee.
Memphis continues.
Memphis
Hey,
continues.
All right.
Sorry,
the
Purdue,
Tigers.
Pete.
How about them Tigers? Not Memphis, obviously, but anyways, Duke versus Tennessee. I think personally I would have a bias towards Duke. Maybe it's a name recognition. Who do you guys have?
Yep, this one sucks because I think it's going to be Blow Bob in the Sweet 16 and not either one of these teams. Tennessee, don't trust without Ziegler. Don't trust Rick Barnes in March Madness. Don't know really what to expect from John Shire. Hate Kyle Filipowski. Hate the ACC. Overrated. But give me John Shire and Duke. If they're going to make a run and I have to pick them, might as well win the national title. So give me Duke.
Yeah, I'm riding the Shire momentum wave here. I like Duke here. Tennessee just not their year. Just a bit of a dip for them.
Yeah, they looked good at the beginning of the season, obviously, but things just haven't gone their way at the end. Diaper Dandy, Kyle Filipowski, big game here. You'll see it, Blake.
All right, Duke moves on. Up next, Providence. Will their Cinderella story? Is it a Cinderella story if it's one game? Will their Cinderella story end against K-State and the Wildcats, who, as we've established, are running a Wildcat because they don't have a quarterback out there?
I like K-State here. I'm going to pick them. I think Providence, very solid. I think this is going to be a hell of a game. To me, it's a coin flip. But I'm going to ride with everything going on with Jerome Tang, at least to get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Kansas State. Still, like, I think that they could have been a team that could have been around 32 upset or even a first round upset. Providence just doesn't speak to me enough to do it.
All right, so K-State moving on already. Blake, would you like to cast your vote into the wind because we're advertiser friendly?
Yeah, K-State, just
All right.
the two-headed monster. Providence.
All right, up next, Michigan State, the Spartans versus Marquette. I don't know what their mascot is.
The Golden Eagles. It used to be something offensive, but now it's Golden Eagles.
Wait, what was it? I actually don't know this. What was it, Bobby?
Oh yeah, no. What?
Without doing a segment on what it was.
I don't remember. Let me double check.
So, liberal Bobby saying it's
Bobby's
offensive.
Bobby's like,
knowing
it
what
must
it
have.
is.
Well, no. It definitely was because
Bobby's
usually
like, it was. It seems it was the letter 5. I plead the 5th.
Oh no, yeah, they were. Okay.
No,
here.
is this
Hold on
something
here.
we need to be talking about?
Let me double
well,
check
Bobby
it. No,
should-
they
All
were.
right,
They were
let
the,
me just go. I'm going to go.
They were the Warriors. They were the Warriors, but it was like a
Yeah,
Native
it's just
American thing.
Okay.
Google showed me many things.
Okay, yeah, the drawing is one thing, but they were just the Warriors.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
looking at their mascot now. Okay, I see the.
Their mascot's name was Willy Wampum. That's really unfortunate.
Not good.
Could be
Marquette
worse.
stomps
worse.
Michigan State, and as I'm stomping this conversation.
Fair enough.
All right, so
Blake?
Marquette.
So I was like, I will take James.
all right, so Marquette cancels Michigan State, moves on to the next one.
I do think Marquette could face some uphill struggles with Izzo and everything, but I think they win.
All right, up next, Houston versus Auburn. Who do we have in this one?
Oh wait, this is not me. Sorry,
It's Blake.
Never mind, carry on.
Is it me? Houston. We can talk about Houston later, but Houston.
It's
Make this
Houston.
Go quicker. Yeah,
It's Houston. I feel like
right, so
everybody's
Houston-
significant. Everybody's starting to get the text from the significant others to hurry it up. Anyway,
oh,
up
Bobby,
next.
weird flex, very weird flex about Bobby needing to get to bed in time. But carry on with the podcast.
Here's-
I'm gonna take my.
I
sweet
go to
time.
bed when I want, Jameson. I'm a big boy.
Oh, but
Go ahead.
it seems she
Go ahead,
wants
Ty.
you to come to bed earlier. Okay, we're just gonna just put that
Come on.
out there.
All right,
That's
whoa,
what he was
whoa,
bragging about.
whoa, whoa,
That's what he was
whoa,
bragging
whoa,
about.
whoa.
He was
All
getting texts from his
Drake-
significant other to get
Drake-
to bed early. Like, what do you
Drake
want me to say to
versus-
that? Like,
Drake versus
like, okay,
Indiana.
dude, congratulations on the sex.
God. That fun fact, I actually just received a text saying, "Are you almost done?" So
There you go. I
All right,
told you so. I
congratulations.
knew it.
Conversation.
Congratulations.
I did-
Ty.
I have that internal clock.
And I feel
Drake
safe
versus
saying this right
Indi-
now because I guarantee you they're not going to be listening 2 hours and 7 minutes
No.
into this podcast.
No, but before we started, Dariel told me I'm allotting a 2 hour and 30-minute time period for you to do this podcast.
Oh my God. Bobby's a big boy, though.
I'm a big
Well,
boy.
Wait till I
Deal
get
with
to
it.
my Final Four matchups, then I guess, and then saving all my analysis for the back end, Bobby.
All righty, here we go. All right,
Give me some Indiana
Ty,
and Drake.
Ty, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Drake versus Indiana.
Is it me?
Is it me? I don't even know
I think
anymore.
it's me. I think it's me actually because Blake did Houston. I'm gonna go with Indiana. Well, no. I'm going with grown men. Give me Drake.
Oh, I'm sorry. I love
grown
this
men
Indiana
over the
team.
candy canes.
I love this Indiana team. I would love to be on the Drake team. Totally looks like a team that I get on board with. I'm sorry. I just kind of scoped out Indiana as one of my little teams to bebop their way through this bracket. I've been saying bebop a lot recently. I guess that's just thoughts of Jamison 2 hours into this podcast.
The grown men are old, but they're gonna retire and can finally cash in on those 401ks because they're going home. They're going home. They can safely retire. I think it's Indiana. It's Jalen Hood Shafino.
All right.
It's
they know what to hold them.
Trace
They know what to
Jackson
fold
Davis.
them.
I love him.
All right.
They're like
Indiana.
the old man. They're like the old man from The Gambler. They just show up, do a little bit of talking, and then promptly leave.
All right. So up next, Iowa State versus Xavier. Who do we have?
Me, right?
It's you, Jamison.
I'm
Dude,
sorry.
it's 2 hours.
I'm losing my brain.
On the round of 32. It's never gonna end.
All right. I think y'all got the hint. I really like this Xavier team. I understand Iowa State's the type of team that could give them troubles. An absolutely potent off. Well, what did I do this time? I don't know.
I just saw that. I just saw the post. I just saw it. Sorry, I saw it. Like said in the group chat.
Okay, carry on,
Sorry,
because I saw it too, and I laughed earlier, but I didn't want to comment on it.
I need to be muted.
But yes, I think Iowa State is a team that can give Xavier problems because, like you said, Iowa State gives Baylor problems because Baylor's this potent offense. Xavier, same thing, potent offense. I think this will be a good game. I think Xavier squeaks it out in the end.
I think so too, Jamison. I like this Xavier team. I like the experience with Sean Miller in the tournament compared to Iowa State that I just kind of like, I don't know. I just don't trust. Not a consistent enough offense there. Like, I know they can muck it up, but I like a guy like Suleboom to like really light up the board. Give me Xavier. Like to see him in the next round.
I think Xavier probably they're going to win this game, but I'm just saying, don't let Iowa State get to Hilton South. Things could get bad. So Xavier advances in our bracket.
All right, Xavier, moving on. Ooh, a traditional rivalry for real, not just a bit. Texas A&M versus Texas. I think the Longhorns get this one easy, but Jamison, admitted A&M fan, might say otherwise.
Yep. So I think just talent alone, it's Texas. I think this Texas A&M team is hot, but if they're gonna beat them and they get past Booty Ball, that's a tough matchup to get it back, get across. You got a team that's really deep, really talented. Serge Jabari Rice, I've said it before, one of my favorite players to watch coming off the bench. Probably the best sixth man in college basketball right now. He's incredible. I just think Texas, they have way too much talent. They knock home A&M, but this will be a fun game. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think this would be a great game if it happens. I just have a weird feeling it won't. Last time we got close to it, and Northern Iowa just, got rid of Texas there with a half-court shot in 2016. I think Texas is really talented. I just have a weird vibe with A&M here that they get the win over Texas, though. They've been hot, and in a rivalry like this, where I truly think that A&M is a team with the chip on their shoulder. They're the school with the chip on their shoulder. I think they care about this more than Texas cares about it. I just have a weird feeling that A&M wins. So give me the Aggies here to advance to the Sweet 16.
I think you, even Blake a little bit, doubted Texas's, ambition to do well in the Big 12 tournament. Definitely about Kansas, but a little bit about Texas. Texas flew through that tournament. They've got a lot of ambition and confidence and momentum right now. Texas A&M, I like that basketball team, but I really like this Texas squad. Really good guard play. Like Blake said, definitely the Serge Jabari Rice, coming off the bench. This is a guy that national guys are talking about, and you don't hear many national people on college basketball on halftime shows of other, I was watching the Houston-Memphis game at halftime. They're talking about Serge Jabari Rice, and I'm like, you don't see this often from your ordinary six man. You don't get this at all. These halftime guys only have time really to go look at the big name guys, like the flashy players. And Marcus Carr is another great player for them too. A lot of really good guards, a lot of veterans, a very talented team with momentum. I like Texas.
Fair enough.
All right, moving on. Kansas versus Arkansas. Another probably great game in the tournament. Who do we have?
Got a nice Liberty Bowl rematch here, and I think Kansas gets revenge for that last minute loss in overtime. So give me the Jayhawks. I'm sure that'll be on their mind because that's definitely how normal people think. Give me the Jayhawks.
Yeah, I think Arkansas is a good team, but it just seems like they aren't consistent. I think, getting that win in the first round, that's probably about all they can do. I think Kansas would handle them if Arkansas ends up in this spot. Jalen Wilson has a big game, and as Blake's going to talk about, I'm sure he's going to talk about how he's a big dick guy.
Big dick guy over here, but we could talk about dick in the later rounds because I think they're just going to blow through Arkansas. They're gonna blow them out.
We saving dick for later.
Saving it for later.
I like it.
I think
Pace
Kansas
it out.
rolls.
You can't just. I'm not going to say that.
That's what you need. That's what you guys need to text your significant others. Is what
I can't blow it. I can't blow it all in the beginning. I gotta prolong my Kansas analysis before I blow it all in the beginning. So
you can't blow the dick early. You gotta wait. It's patience. Ty, next game.
All right, Bobby. Anyways,
I let Bobby marinate in that one.
Sometimes you gotta, St. Mary's versus UConn. Who do we have?
I believe it is me, and I think UConn just whops St. Mary's. Doesn't even know what hit him. UConn by 15.
See, this is what I hate. I hate about this bracket of death is these really, really hot teams. Like, I know St. Mary's struggled with Gonzaga at the end, but as we'll talk about in 1 second, Gonzaga since February 1st analytically has been the best team in the nation. Like, they've just been rolling through people. So I don't knock St. Mary's for that, but UConn, I believe, let me look at it really quick, the second best. I hate these. This was the year where these teams like these were primed for deep runs, but a lot of them are going to get cut short because of this dumb seeding. UConn, I think UConn. It could go either way. I don't think it's a blowout like Jamison says. I think it's really, really close. I guess
I just know you like St. Mary's, so
I know that hurts. Like, that's the thing. It's like Randy Bennett has his best team, and like the best they're gonna do is round of 32. Like, what the hell are we doing here? We're giving Miami, we're giving San Diego City the easiest 12 seeds. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
I like UConn as well, though. I think they're really hot right now. They're just a good March team. So we're moving on. Ty, what do we got next?
All right. UConn continues their march. TCU versus Gonzaga. Are we going to zig with TCU or is it the Zags?
It's Gonzaga. I love TCU. I would love to see them do well, but look, Eddie Lampkin, if you're one of those TCU fans out there, like, although you can... Whether you agree with him leaving the team or not, this will be a game where we miss him. We needed him on Drew Timme. I think this is when the Xavier Cork stands out there that think he's somehow better than Lampkin. It's really going to get highlighted in this game. Like, Timmy's going to work us. The only hope for TCU is that their pace in the way in which they run in transition is just something Gonzaga hasn't seen, which is kind of the case. Like, their conference is a cakewalk, but this Gonzaga team, whenever they come in as kind of a sleeper, not many people are talking about them as much as they have in the past. They can probably make some noise this year. I just think Gonzaga's finally found their form. And then my guy coming off the bench now, Ben Gregg, starting to find his legs in the lineup. And I hate this because I'm such a Gonzaga guy. And I just hate that we're going to have to probably play them, but give me Gonzaga.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Zags as well. Losing a guy like Eddie Lampkin, who I know you've said he's the heart and the soul of that team, but I saw it last year when he played against Oklahoma. Just the way he played, that is an enormous, incalculable loss, especially when you got a guy like Drew Timme, who Sooner fans know from a couple years ago when he tore up Lon Kruger's last team. And, obviously all the other games because he hasn't graduated. He's been here since 2010, it feels like. But no, the Zags roll on here. But TCU, just winning a tournament game. We know how massive that is. So Sweet 16, going to have to wait another year.
Can you explain to me, Blake, really what the whole Eddie Lampkin situation was? Because I heard like he kind of just stopped caring after he got an NIL deal, but like he's the heart and soul of that team. I just what's
that
exactly going on there?
Yeah.
Before Blake takes it, that sounds like the most boomer Facebook interpretation of a situation ever. He got his NIL and then he stopped caring, stopped.
That's what I heard.
No,
I really
okay,
haven't heard anything serious.
There's some truth in this. So Bobby is right. I think he was the heart and soul in the sense of like the fans' eyes, because like he's the one pumping up the crowd at home games, get everybody involved. But he was going to leave TCU last summer till he got, I think, the biggest NIL deal on the team, or second biggest behind Mike Miles, who we were basically trying to convince to go like stay here from the NBA draft. So that's like pretty significant. But once he got that at the beginning of the season, like I was ranting when we lost to Northwestern State and we're kind of struggling with Arkansas Pine Bluff and some of those ones early, like Eddie Lampkin, I saw on his like Instagram and stuff like that. Like he's out at the bars, like doing like bottle service every single night, just like blowing cash, and like just didn't seem to like care as much. And like you could tell by his game, like his game is very similar, which is good. Like he was a good player for us last year, but he didn't develop at all. He just kind of like whenever he got injured, like he would try to play through it, but it just felt like he was getting mad that he wasn't in the rotation, like kind of the starter and like the fixture of the rotation. We use a lot of different guys, Jacoby Coles, Xavier Cork. And I think by the response, whenever he quit the team, not many guys were coming to his defense. And not many guys were like, sorry to miss you, whenever he's saying like he's missing the entire team. So although we don't know the full story yet, I tend to believe he just needs some help. He's been going through a lot. I know like his actual like family and his brother and stuff like that also factors a huge amount into it. So I think just kind of a clean split, him going to get help, going to somewhere that can maybe help him develop a little focus on that will be better. I think it's a lot of factors. I think it's very complicated, but I just don't think
I just didn't know.
Oh yeah,
I feel like there hasn't been much clear out there to really tell us what's going on.
Like
so
literally,
honestly,
the only thing that came out was him posting those like screenshots, but we don't even like. There's like questions whether they're even legitimate. Like literally, one of the text messages was signed Coach Dixon. Like they just like put it at the bottom of the text, and it's like who's
Jim
signed
Dixon
like,
here?
I know we make fun of Jamie Dixon, but I can't imagine
doesn't
Jamie
make sense.
Dixon signing his own text like that. Like that's just
I will say this: Jamie Dixon seems like the type of guy to sign his own text, though.
Somebody has to get his number and text him. I feel like Jamison has the connect somewhere there.
Jamison has the better connections than anybody.
I actually know somebody who could get that number.
We won't talk about it.
Because if I got a hold of that, it would be like Dennis in the Dennis system. Like, you're gonna die tonight. Like, in the middle of the night.
You just try to Dennis system Jamie Dixon.
And make him leave forever. So,
but also make him want to come back. But also,
no, I don't. I do not.
You're trying to separate entirely.
Yes, I will. I will end after that moment. We're not trying to win him back. We are.
Well, OU will be out here like, oh, we're in here for scraps. We're pulling out the MAC system, move in after completion.
Oh man,
right,
I'm
so
sorry.
anyways.
I asked Blake to go on a TCU conversation and derailed us for a little bit again. I apologize.
What's the Texags version of the TCU? What's the TCU boards called?
Go Frogs.
We only have one. It's really Horn Frog Blitz is like the only main one.
The TCU Texags equivalent is any group text that Blake is in.
Basically, I have to filter out my opinions. I can't put them all on the boards. I can't be known as that guy, but yes.
Yeah. You don't want to end up on message board geniuses.
Yes, there's the only time I do post though, like I don't really post much for football. It's all about Jamie Dixon and how much I hate him. And how much I am so quick on the trigger whenever he blows a lead. I am in the message boards out of the team.
Baseball, no. Football, no. Basketball? Oh, that's where I show up.
Like
And
the sport
Blake
nobody
is-
cares about. It's me and the same like 3 guys fighting. They're like, we love him. He's elevated like our program to new heights. I'm like, we could do better. Like,
Yeah. Blake is actually one of the few people that still subscribes to like a bunch of magazines, and it's mostly so that whenever TCU loses, he can cut out the letters and send death threat letters to Jamie Dixon.
This has gotten dark. Don't clip us. Don't clip us. No clips.
Yeah, don't clip us like
Clip
Blake
us.
clips out magazine letters to glue to a
Thread
piece of
Jamie
paper
Dixon.
and send to TCU's coach.
Oh my
Anyways,
Sorry, what do we got
Northwestern
next?
versus UCLA, another traditional Big Ten matchup. Who do we have?
2 words. Boo booey. Northwestern.
oh
Let's get
God,
weird.
no, Bobby. Bobby's trying to be Big J Journo so hard to get into that crowd. I'm not gonna. This is a family podcast, but this D writing is ridiculous. It
I'm
is
not
all
D-writing
UCLA
anybody.
right now. It is
I'm
all
not-
UCLA.
He must be
are,
tired.
Bobby.
He's been
Wait,
riding
okay,
for
okay.
2.5
Hold on.
hours.
What are we talking about? A G-rated podcast? Literally minutes ago, we were talking about Kansas and Grady Dick.
Now,
Oh, there's
that's-
been a lot of
that-
other
so
bad
you're gonna
things
get on.
this
You're
podcast.
gonna
That is
bully
true. That
somebody.
is
because
true.
of their
That is
name?
true. It's the weekend spread after dark. So there you go.
It is.
Yeah, no, UCLA.
Started before dark.
It's
I
UCLA.
don't know. So, but here's the
Oh!
thing.
Oh, Jamison,
Wrong.
stop
Wrong.
it.
Why would I abandon Jaime Jaquez? Why
There
would
we
you
go.
think I would go and pick Northwestern for Jaime Jaquez of UCLA? Come on. You all know that I'm always gonna ride with Jaime. So we're gonna pick Jaime and UCLA.
There you go. Back to the top. Sweet 16.
It's me to
Dive
start,
in.
right?
All right. Next round. Sweet 16. I mean, this one, if you're Blake, this is the battle of 2 absolutely insufferable teams. If you're everyone else, it's San Diego State versus an absolutely insufferable team. Will San Diego State finally be able to hold Bama's players accountable, unlike the legal system?
Oh, well, I didn't think we were going to go there. We did. You know what? Pile it on with this episode. I'm telling you, and I'm not even doing this as a bit. If this is here, I'm picking San Diego State
No,
to
stop.
beat
You don't know
Alabama.
ball. You don't know ball. Like, you just don't. At this point, you don't know ball. Like,
I'm thinking San Diego State is the type of team that can really go far in this tournament against a team like Alabama. I think San Diego State continues on a nice little Cinderella run here and beats the #1 overall team in Alabama in this Schooner Pod bracket.
if this matchup comes to be, just like launch me into orbit because the end of times are coming and I don't want to be here for it. The locusts are coming if these 2 teams are matched up in the like Sweet 16 because my God, the lack of accountability of crime and other things at these 2 schools is beyond like should shut them both down. Like San Diego City gets hidden because they're not as big, but Jesus, we've heard some things about their football program that we know to be true now. That is pretty horrible. But yeah.
I didn't. Whoa, let's move on.
I thought that got dismissed.
It got the and Brandon Miller did get
You're-
prosecuted. It
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
mean
fair.
it's
about to
bad.
start-
That's fair. That's fair.
You're
That's
about
fair.
to start Blake down
Lack-
a deep dive of the
It's a lack of,
intricacies.
it's a lack of
between-
institutional control
Yeah.
ball.
Yes,
Oh,
this is
God,
yes.
no.
Bad.
I've really
No.
raised Blake this
Okay,
much.
I will argue that Bama has control. They're just deliberately making the decision
That's true.
to not hold. That's a different thing.
That is true. But I guess Bama's better on offense, better on defense. Like if you're gonna go with the nose ball angle, like me, you know ball, you know Bama's better. There's no way San Diego State. I have that 5-pack of Malort, those little pocket shots. I will take those 5 shots back to back to back to back to back if San Diego State reaches the Elite
God.
Eight. I am that confident.
You need to take one for every win they get.
I will. Yes, actually, I'll do that. And then if not, y'all gotta. If San Diego State loses in the first round, y'all gotta take one apiece. Just one, each of y'all.
That's fair.
Yes.
That's
San
fair.
Diego
That's fair.
If San Diego State wins the national
Yes,
championship,
so they're going to kick Charleston's ass. There's no doubt. I feel very good
Yeah.
about this.
I like that.
if that happens, like if San Diego State wins the national championship, I'll go buy an actual big bottle and I'll let's give myself like 6 months, maybe. I don't know how many months, but I will have to finish that bottle within a certain period of time because it's not
Shoe
responsible
nice.
to do that all at night.
I was about to
but-
say, yeah, you could shoe nice it, but I think you'd spontaneously combust.
Yeah, so I will, if they win the national championship, I'll do that. I'll find a
Oh,
way.
and their pocket
instead of time.
shots.
No, or so the pocket
No, he's
shots
saying a
for
full
each
bottle.
win, but if they win the national championship, I'll buy a full bottle.
I
and
know,
have to
but
finish
like
that.
if we lose, we have to take a pocket
No,
shot.
yeah, it's like a pocket shot.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
All
Well,
right.
you already know who I'm picking. It's San Diego State.
That's damn right.
Oh, come on. Oh, my God. We cannot get 2 hours and 30 minutes into
They're
this
seasoned.
and discredit ourselves like that. We actually
Blake.
have a decent bracket this year, a decent one.
Like they're seasoned. They they know how to win.
No, they
do know
don't.
how to
They
win.
don't know how to win. They never win in March.
Well, I guess this is gonna change it.
They
So-
beat your boys Utah State all 3 times they played this season.
That's true.
Yeah, but we're talking about beating Alabama, the best team in the nation, one that is great. Like
Tanner
on their
Groves
best
did
day,
that.
And lost to Oklahoma by how much?
One bad game doesn't determine it. This team is the best team. I'm the only one on this podcast that knows ball.
I saw what I
hate
saw,
The fact
Blake.
that it took 2 hours and 30 minutes for us
All
to
it
realize
takes is
this,
one game.
but-
That's what March
I
Madness
saw what I
is,
saw,
Blake.
Blake.
I understand it was just
Where,
one game.
where
but
would
all
this
it takes
game
is
be
one
taking
game.
place? It's in Vegas. It's in Vegas. Oh, you know San Diego State is rolling out for San Diego
Who?
State in Vegas.
They were
Woo!
practically giving out their football tickets last year, Bobby, because nobody was going to Qualcomm Stadium or whatever they rebuilt it as. Nobody was going.
Qualcomm
It's
is
been
gone.
gone for
Qualcomm
like
is a
5
parking lot,
years.
Blake. It's called Snapdragon Stadium. Put some
Sorry,
respect on them.
Snapdragon. Sorry, I didn't get my processing chip correctly, but God, I just want to end this now. If we're not even taking this seriously at this point, if San Diego State's in the Elite Eight,
No,
just
no,
let me
I
go.
Like, this is
actually believe in this.
I actually like San Diego State to go deep. I'm not even
No,
saying this
no.
as a joke.
Why? You don't know ball. You don't know ball either, Jamison. Ty knows more ball than the two of you.
All
if
I
we
know
have
is-
San Diego State going this far.
Yeah, I would have Bama in this one.
I
Yeah,
have
be
seen
honest.
I have seen more text of Blake being like, "Oh no, San Diego State! How dare they?" You know. So I don't know. We'll see how it
That's a
goes.
good team right there.
Next
No.
game. next game.
All
Ty.
right, up next, Creighton versus Arizona. Who do we have? 2 seed versus a 6 seed.
It's Creighton. I don't even know where it is, but I'm going to interject here. It's Creighton. You finally got Kalkbrenner in the middle that can guard those two bigs down there. I see it in my head right now. We got Arizona down by 1. Has the ball with 10 seconds left. Kirk Ariza gets the ball going up the court and tries to throw an alley-oop to Bello in the post, but he flies it like 10 feet over his head. Game over right there. I think Kirk Ariza is going to shoot him in the foot at some point. I'm surprised they even make it this far, but they got some favorable matchups. Give me Creighton.
I think Creighton makes a good run, but I think they fall here in a very close one. Give me Arizona.
Oh, you're kidding me. You're really going to put San Diego State and Arizona together? I know what Jamison's about. Oh, actually, I don't know what Jameson's. He's kind of a Creighton stan like me. So proceed, Jamison.
But I like Arizona.
Oh, stop it.
more.
Stop.
Let me tell you something. You talk about, oh yeah, Creighton's got the big back. They're good, but they don't have a Balo. They don't have Tubelis. And I'm telling you, they're going to take them down. It's going to be an easy one. Creighton's run ends.
Well, they're freed from the sweaty shackles of Sean Miller. They can make a run. So Arizona it
Just
is.
like last year when they had a better team and they only made the Sweet 16 and lost. But nobody. But y'all know ball though. Y'all know ball, so you would know
Thank
that.
you. I
You would
thank
factor
for
that
telling
into
me
your
that.
analysis.
That's very
Just
nice of
wait
you, Blake.
until
Thank
that is
you.
the exact Elite 8, and are this Schooner Pod bracket's gonna be 99th percentile.
This bracket stinks. This bracket stinks out loud. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We're about to choose between Duke
Like
and
10
Memphis.
minutes ago, you're like, this bracket was so good. Then you soiled
It
it.
was till y'all tanked it in the Sweet 16. You go, Bobby. It's your turn. Memphis Duke. Where are you going with this?
Memphis Duke. I think this is going to be a really good game. I like what Penny's brought to that Memphis program, but I think Duke if they're this hot and they get this far, I like the Blue Devils to scoot out just a little bit more. Maybe it's that logo, you know. Maybe I'm being a little sheep out here, you know, thinking that the ACC is good at basketball when they're actually not this year. But I like Duke.
I feel like I would have picked Purdue to beat Duke in this spot in my bracket, but I understand y'all's being a little bit scared to pick Purdue. Completely understand that. But let me tell you something. There's a diaper dandy over there in Duke.
I hadn't heard that yet, Jamison.
Kyle Filipowski is not going to have to go against Zach Edey. He's going to have a heyday versus this Memphis team. 20 points, 10 boards for the diaper dandy. Blake, I'm sorry, but Duke is a
bum bracket. It's Memphis. The lack of ball knowledge towards the end of here is just absolutely ridiculous. Where we're supposed to get our biases in the first round when, like, you're like, oh, somebody gets upset, like it doesn't really affect the end of it, and now we have this god awful Elite Eight. Let's just continue. Is a 1 seed gonna make it? Is a 1 seed even gonna make it to the Elite Eight at this point?
Maybe.
Ty, who do we got next? You're muted, Ty. Ty, you're muted, buddy.
Up next, surprise, if you've been following along, K-State versus Marquette. Is it the Wildcats or is it the Golden Eagles? No other discussion is to be had about mascots of Marquette. Is it the Golden Eagles or the Wildcats?
I think this is that physical team that's going to run up and down the court, and it's going to give K-State some issues. I think Marquette's going to handle them here.
Yeah, I like the cojones on Tyler Kolek. I like the fact whenever they're picked 7th or 8th in the Big East that he said F them at the beginning of the season before they even played a game. I like that moxie. I like that dog, something that a cat would not have. So give me Marquette over the Wildcats in this matchup.
Yeah, I've been waiting for the team that would kind of match up against Kansas State and take them out to show up, and Marquette's that team. I really like Marquette here. Clean sweep for the Golden.
All right, so
Eagles.
Marquette gets the selection. Up next, Houston versus Indiana, a red out battle.
Okay. Wait,
Blake, right?
Blake, yeah, Blake, you got this.
I think we don't know Marcus Sasser, if he's back, not. I don't. Houston will be fine the first 2 rounds. They are going to be just fine. But Houston, I just feel like they never really get upsetted. They just lose to teams that are better than them. I don't think Indiana's that team. Houston moves on.
I do love Houston. Just overall in this whole tournament. I'll go ahead and say this. I think this is the game they get tested the most up until the national championship. I'll go that far.
What is your deal,
no, I
Bobby?
take that back. I take that back. Texas and Xavier are right there. I think this is a really tough road. I think Indiana in the Garden is going to be pretty tricky.
Why? Those two have no links together. It's just Indiana and it's the Garden. No in between. Like,
popular basketball school, largest city on the planet. Well, not on the planet, but biggest in the United States. The largest city where you can host an NCAA tournament game. I'm just saying.
Ty, did you hear that? Or
no?
Bobby called New York City the largest city in the world.
Yeah, a bit of a botch on my end, but basically what I mean is I feel like Indiana, that's Big Ten country, I guess. I don't know. I feel like
we give this man a vote. We gave this man a vote on the podcast to advance teams or not.
This isn't even the dumbest Indiana thing I've said, Blake. I moved them ahead because of pants once.
Wait, what did Indiana and Houston have to do with New York City?
Exactly. Bobby said it's going to be a deadly environment with Indiana playing at Madison Square Garden.
It's Indiana versus a commuter school in the Garden. I have a feeling that place is going to be packed full of Hoosiers.
So you're admitting then Jordan Brand is sponsoring a commuter school, thus diluting the brand as a whole.
No, Jordan Brand is already trash. Okay. It's already a sub-brand. It's a cheaper sub-brand of Nike.
No,
Yep,
it's
there we
very
go.
much is not. But I'm
It's
gonna go with
not
Houston to
cheaper.
win.
Okay, when it comes to basketball
I-
shoes, yes.
All right, I was a little hyper. I was a little
I just bought a
hyperbolic
pair
about.
of Jordan
I
4s
was
for like $250. Not gonna lie.
wow,
Ooh.
nice flex.
Should
Sorry,
have bought
I
some
shouldn't have
bakes, my
flexed.
boy,
Okay.
than Bape first. Those
Yeah,
hold value more.
Jordan Brand is nothing compared to Bape.
Okay. Anyways, I think Houston. I think Houston has a really tough test here. I was a little hyperbolic. It's not going to be the toughest one because I think this next matchup in the Elite Eight will be brutal with Xavier and Texas. But I think it's tough. But they get the win. Kelvin Sampson and the boys move on to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I think so
Uh,
too. And I really want to pick Indiana because I told you I've been liking this team, and I honestly had him picked him, and then switched back to Houston in my bracket. It's just tough. The whole Sasser thing really does give me fits. People are saying, okay, Marcus Sasser's out for the first round with this groin strain. Those groin strains, not good. If you are pushing a return too early from it, he's not going to be 100%. He probably will hurt it again. It's probably more likely he does than doesn't. It's just like a hamstring. These ones are just tough injuries. It's going to be a really big hit for that program. But I think they can squeak it out versus Indiana. Even though I like that Indiana team.
Blake, buddy.
You know my take on it, Houston. Move on.
All right. Kelvin Sampson, Quantus White, and Hollis Price get revenge for 2002. Love to see it. Tie next game.
All right, the Houston Cougars, whatever they are, move on. Xavier versus the Longhorns of Texas. Who do we have?
Great game. And I don't know why Bobby's been dismissing Texas this whole bracket. This Texas team is good. Like I said, doing really, really damn well. The Xavier team, high-powered offense, can put up points. This is going to be a really fun game. Really, really fun game. Comes down to the end. Texas wins it.
I don't think it will be fun. I think it'll be a blowout. I think Texas is just like superior team, can play some defense, which Xavier can't play a lick of. And I think their offense can meet their firepower. I just think Texas is way better. It's just that simple. I just think Texas is significantly better on both sides of the ball. It's a route, Texas to the Elite Eight.
I don't think Texas is going to be here. Give me Xavier. Doesn't matter. Texas is going to they always find a way to lose. I know they're talented. I know they had that great Big 12 run, but it just feels like the wheels are going to fall off at some point. It's been a tough emotional season. I have a feeling, and that feeling is called immense personal bias.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Ty, we always called you the gooner of this podcast, but I feel like we've been shrouded this whole time. Bobby's absolutely it. He lets his emotions
because he's
take him
overcompensating for his OSU fandom to really come off as a really big OU fan.
No, I think the biggest thing is because I'm not a very good college this has been like me and Jamison were talking about this. This has been the season I've watched college basketball like the least. So I don't have knowledge to really lean on. All I have is deep personal biases that I am acting out on.
Yeah, Blake, I was telling him like this season just has kind of been crappy for the casual basketball watcher who that. I pay attention to college basketball every year, and I watch a couple games not even more than a couple games in regular. She's like a decent amount of regular season games, but there's no random ACC Big Ten game I want to watch because all the really good players in this NBA draft are not here. And if they are good, they're like developmental guys. Like Jarris Walker doesn't get me excited to watch in Houston. Brandon Miller is good, but he's not exciting. Like the Thompson twins are exciting, not here. And then obviously Wembanyama and Scoot, not here. It's just like all these high-end prospects that were, top 10 mock draft guys like Cam Whitmore for Villanova. You think I'm going to watch a Villanova game? There's just not a lot of guys in this tournament that I can get up and get excited and say oh, that's going to be an NBA star.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the ESPN philosophy of things. They don't really buy into the actual sport as a whole. They just see what it can do for them when it comes to their other properties. So, yeah, sure, before this whole, I guess, before the one or it was the one and done era, or I guess before it, they just went to the pros. So like these guys would be in the pros, and I think this puts college basketball in a decent place just because I think this year is really wide open. Like the fact that there's two buffoons on this podcast that put San Diego State over Alabama in
Wide
the
open.
podcast to show
Wide
it
open.
shows it's wide open, I guess. But yes, it's just a wide. So it makes, I guess, if you enjoy the NBA and you're looking for the prospects, the product's worse, but it'll make a more interesting March product and kind of like keep you on the edge of your seat more than like say the Gonzaga Baylor year where it like felt like it was just like two Titans inevitably going to meet up.
Well, I think we probably got to move on because at this rate, we're going to have to send out like one of those cool, like curated fruit baskets to Katie, Dariel, Sarah, and Ashley here.
Ashley
So
doesn't care.
I'm
She's
just
having a
hoping-
blast
all I
now.
hope
She's
is-
been reading her book this whole time. She's happy for me to be away.
I'm hoping we go so long that it like reaches the storage limit and just deletes the entire episode.
Oh no,
Just
Bobby!
lose it-
Bobby! Oh
lose
my
it
God! Please,
forever.
No,
please
we
tell
have-
me. If you
we have
deleted
4 minutes.
Spurs.
We have 4 hours on the storage. I can delete some
Oh.
right now. I'm going to delete
Okay.
some right now. We have 44.7 out of 50.
On to the next game.
Time to
Kansas.
delete.
Kansas
Kansas.
versus UConn. This is where we start. I mean, this is this basketball blue blood versus basketball blue blood. Who do we have?
Get dicked on. Moving on, Kansas.
All right.
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to delete some recordings here.
Bobby's gonna accidentally delete our recording while trying to.
Active record. You can't.
If he does, I'm gone. I'm not coming back.
Can we talk about how we have 3 people watching this the entire time? And I know one of
Thank
them.
you, listeners. This has been honestly really fun to watch. I'm sure.
It's been one of my favorite shows by far. This has been an odyssey into madness, but incredibly
Well,
fun.
that's one of us.
Yeah, no, give me Kansas. Sorry, that's the wrong one.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, give me Kansas. Poor Ty. But yeah, Kansas.
Ty's like, what did I sign up for?
This is like he was like Ty was like, I would like to host the Schooner Pod, and then the monkey's paw rolled one of
I
its
was like,
fingers.
all right.
That-
We'll see about that.
Give me the Hawks.
Rock Jock Jayhawk.
There we go.
Yeah. What do we got next?
Gonzaga.
Next, Gonzaga versus UCLA. Don't let the numbers fool you. I think Gonzaga is the easy favorite.
I think this is where we start to see UCLA. You feel the impact of Jalen Clark not being there, your best defender. I think they can kind of coast those first few rounds, not really hitting anybody big, but Gonzaga is just a juggernaut offensively right now. Move them on. It's the Bulldogs for me.
Oh man, it's Zags in March. I think UCLA gets revenge for the Jalen Suggs shot and moves on here.
Interesting. Here's my thought process.
Jaime Hawkins was on that team, right?
Love Jaime Hawkins. Man, he is just like the epitome of what I like in a basketball player. He's long, he's got a dirty mustache, and his name is Jaime. Like, honestly, perfect. But here's the thing. Like Blake said, I had UCLA scoped as this team that I was going to pick in this tournament and I was going to talk all about on this podcast. And I was so excited. And I was like, but then when Jalen Clark tore his Achilles, I saw that and I said, oh, that's just so tough. I just don't know if they can go out and beat a team like Gonzaga and move on in the tournament. That's such a tough 3 seed. That is such a tough 3 seed. I just can't pick him, even though I've got a bias towards Jaime. I'm going to put my biases to the side and actually make a logical pick. So give me Gonzaga.
Zags move on.
All right, Zaga advances, and now we move into the Elite 8. First up, San Diego State versus Arizona. We've set this one up for an easy one, I think, for us.
Well, it's San Diego State. It's
Oh,
always been
God.
San Diego State. No, it's Arizona. The Cinderella ride ends here. Give me Arizona.
I completely agree with you, Bobby. San Diego State, They had their time in the sun. They just got pretty lucky with the opponents they had to play along the way. Felt like they matched up very well versus the teams that they got to play against and had this easy road. But Arizona is just too good of a team, has a great culture around them. I'm sorry, just give me Arizona.
I abstain, so just move on. Whoever won that vote.
It was
You could use this to vote. Anyway. All right.
I abstain or I filibuster, whichever one you want to choose. So be it.
No, please, at this point, do not filibuster.
San Diego State, look, the time is short, but the road is long, and in a blinking of the eye, your moment's gone. When it's done, win or lose, you always did your best, because inside you knew. R.I.P. San Diego State, you had a good run, man.
That was a good run. Elite Eight. I'm very proud of them.
Arizona
How many
moves
Malort
on.
shots would that be?
Future Pac-12 matchup right here.
4? Would that be 4? So 64, the 32, and then they won the Sweet 16. So only 3.
Three. That's still
There
3
should
more than
be-
anybody has to take.
There should
Shouldn't
be
be.
1 shot of interest for each round, though, so it should be 6.
Agreed. I like it.
100% interest is a fair and reasonable.
See,
That's
Blake abstained with talking about this subject, so I guess he can't really say anything.
Yeah, so Blake is
You don't have
abstained.
any
So
thoughts on the matchup?
I think the
I
three of us,
filibuster now.
the 3 of us could establish that, right? Blake has to take 1 shot for the first round, but also with 1 shot of interest, and then the next round, at 100% interest, he would be taking 4 shots.
Hey.
And then, so ultimately, if we have 3 rounds, he should be taking 8 shots minimum, I think, just to meet interest.
Hey, Blake,
Seems fair.
I'm just going to beg you, please, just for the viewers, can you break down what an Arizona versus San Diego State game would be like? You don't have to pick a winner. Just please, I'm begging you.
No,
Just
we are in deep enough. We need to
It'd be
move
me
on.
on my knees praying for the giant meteor to come rain down on the stadium and wipe them both out while both fan bases and teams are in the same arena. That is what.
Well, it would be in Vegas, Blake, so you would just destroy Las Vegas. Good job. You killed
I'll
gambling.
take that sacrifice.
All right. Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pressed on tie.
Blake, you're probably...
That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we
So
need to move
up
on.
next,
We need to move on.
we do have Duke versus Marquette.
All right.
Yeah.
I think the diaper dandy might end here, boys. I think Marquette gets this W. Duke shouldn't have made it this whole way. They definitely shouldn't have, but they were lucky they had such a great player in Kyle Filipowski to get them there. I think Marquette is going to end them and go off to face Arizona in the Final Four.
I don't think Duke is playing here in the first place. Won't sniff it, so that just means Marquette moves on by default. That's what I hate about this one. We're not talking about real matchups. We're doing
Then
memes.
you got to play the game. You got to play it. They're here. You just got to talk like hypotheticals. I'm sorry things didn't go your way, Blake. Oh, that's a shame.
These aren't happening. I know ball. These things these aren't happening. Why would I talk about some NCAA 2008 EA Sports video game?
We're
matchups
an
when these
OU
aren't gonna
football
happen, so-
podcast talking in March right now about brackets. We're going to talk about it.
You got to put
Yeah,
it. You got to
it's
put on your
Marquette.
imagination hat, Blake.
Yeah, Marquette's the only one that could ever make it to this point. So give me Marquette.
Imagination. Marquette. I think. I'm not gonna lie. On my personal bracket, I somehow have Duke, Marquette, in my Elite Eight. I'm like, how did either of these teams get here? And I think it's really just that region's super weird. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Marquette. Honestly, of all the regions, this could be the weirdest one. I think if we get a weird Final Four team, it comes out of this one.
You don't think the 2 versus 5 Elite 8 that we just picked isn't weird?
2 versus 5 is
no.
not that bad. That's really not that bad. There's been much worse.
We've had multiple 8 seeds in a Final Four. Blake, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but those two, one of those is not making
Oh
it.
wait, those are both 2 versus 5s. What are you talking about, Blake? We
No,
got
it's just
Duke
the
and
matchup. We know San Diego State's not going to make it that far.
It's
Like,
two basketball juggernauts in Duke and San Diego State. I don't know what's the problem here. Two
All right,
blue
sorry,
bloods.
sorry. I gotta stop
Sorry.
doing this. I'm
sorry,
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 Ty.
sorry, sorry, Ty. Sorry.
Who are
No,
we
no, no, we're good.
apologizing
We're
to? We've all done this ourselves.
This is proof that God hates us.
we're
Ty,
certainly.
what's our next game? What's our next game, Ty?
Next game up, Houston versus Texas, which would be a crazy matchup if it occurred.
I'll start it. I think this would be a fantastic game, one that's actually realistic, and it's like kind of cool to talk about these like realistic hypothetical scenarios. But honestly, this is gonna be an all-timer. I think either team comes out of it. I'm gonna edge a little bit Texas. I just love this Texas squad, maybe a little too much. I know Homer Bobby's gonna come in and wreck my dreams, but this one's gonna be an all-time great one. I'm rooting for this one, but give me Texas in this one.
I think we gotta really commend Blake for going out on a ledge and saying that the 1 versus 2 matchup is realistic. That's wow. He knows ball. That man
He knows ball.
Hey,
One,
honestly,
1 versus 2. Wow.
You usually win your bracket pool. A little tip: I hate doing this, but if you just go chalk, you're probably going to be in the top 3. Like come the end of it,
It's
and,
really
have a chance
all
to
about
win it.
picking the tournament champion.
It just like
hoping you made some decent picks along the way.
Fair enough.
Like if you get most of the final 4 right, then you're golden. Like you're golden usually.
I do think this game will be really good. I think if it were to play out, which it won't because Texas is going to not make the Sweet 16 as is tradition. I think it'd be very good. I think Houston, is a hell of a team. Texas, solid team. And I think Houston wins in the end. I really love Houston this entire tournament. While they are a commuter school and we haven't figured out whether or not they have fans or not, the Final Four is in Houston. So if they get there, pretty big deal. So either one of these teams getting there would be a pretty big deal. So give me Houston here in the Garden.
Oh man, can I see it? I knew you were going to bring this up. Bobby, they're like, Houston, one more win and they can play at home. It's going to be so great. And Texas can go out there and be like, sorry, it's going to be like that little LeBron gif we used to see where just the slap and it's just going to lose Texas. Texas is going to take out Houston and it's just going to be easy money. I really like this Texas team too, Blake. It's not irrational. I like them. It might feel a little bit weird because this person over here has been talking bad game about them the whole time just because he's got some vendetta with using his heart, but we're using our brains right now. Like I think you can agree with me. I've been using my brain a lot this bracket, so I think Texas wins here. I'm telling you, the Marcus Sasser injury spooks me. It really does. I just don't like groin injuries. I don't like hamstring injuries.
All right, man's hurt his hams, so he can't play. Up next, Kansas versus Gonzaga. Will the Jayhawks repeat? Presumably they're the defending champs.
I think Kansas has been excellent this year, and I think they do advance to the Final Four against Texas here. They've just been really good, really well-rounded. Bill Self, has put himself in a really good position again to make a really good championship run. Will they win it all? I'm not sure, but I think they can beat a Gonzaga team that, while they are seasoned, while they are old. What?
Oh,
What?
he said Gonzaga.
No, I said Kansas.
No, I can beat a really good Gonzaga team.
Gonzaga. I slipped. I apologize. Give me KU.
All right. Okay. We're just going to put some respect on Gonzaga's name because I think Gonzaga is going to win this game. Great game. Not talking down on Kansas at all here. Very, very solid team. Jalen Wilson, very, very good basketball player. I think Grady Dick is a good basketball player. I just don't think he's a guy he's going to take over and he's going to have, a couple games where he's going to put up some points, but I just don't think he's the guy. Like, I want the ball in Grady Dick's hands to end the game because I feel like a lot of people overhype him a little bit. Jalen Wilson, yeah. But I feel like there's a little bit of hype there from Kansas on their side. I think Gonzaga, like Blake said, the way they've been playing the past couple months, and I'm for the 8th time this podcast, I love momentum. This team is full of momentum, absolutely destroying St. Mary's in the final by like 20 points. Finally putting it together, having all of these great pieces on their team, and having Drew Timmy come back, and it's going to show like, wow, if I'm a player like Drew Timmy, I might come back and get NIL money and play in college, and it might actually pay off. I think this could be a success story. So give me Gonzaga.
Yeah, this one's a coin flip in my mind. There's a lot of things to like. The Gonzaga offense now trending in the best direction possible, but I've just been all over this Kansas team this year. I just love the flexibility that they have with Grady Dick and Jalen Wilson. It just feels like they have these two forwards that they can, like, running an offense through two forwards that can create their own shot in college basketball is pretty unheard of. And like that's been kind of the Bill Self transformation in my mind. Is he used to run his system. He used to have a big guy run everything through the post, and now he's kind of gone to these forwards and guards that can create their own shot. They allows them a little bit more creative freedom on the court that I just feel like has really benefited them. And the reason why we've seen a resurgence of Kansas, I think, even in a year where they lost majority of that national championship talent, they are just as good and still won the Big 12. So I'm going to edge Kansas here just because I've liked them all season long. There really hasn't been much I've hated. I just like Gonzaga's hot right now, but like Gonzaga was also beaten by Texas. They were also beaten by Baylor. Like they're not some juggernaut. So I'm going to take Kansas.
All right. On to the Final Four, Ty.
All right, Final Four. A lot of good teams. I mean, I think this is a realistic bracket at this point. Arizona versus Marquette, our first round of the semifinals.
This me. I think it's me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is. So I struggle with this one. I really do. But I think it's just going to come down to Arizona has just more talent than this Marquette team. I think that just comes down to it. They just have shown to be a team that I really don't. I'm seriously lost for words at this. This is a really, really hard pick for me. I'm just going to move on. I seriously have to defer. I can't. I'm legitimately breaking right now. This is horrible. Horrible podcasting.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I'm
Blake,
biased. I'm biased, so you know which way I'm going to go.
Wow, this podcast Final Four content. I just gave horrible analysis.
We died in 3 hours.
Well, the thing is like I'm looking at these two teams, and these are two teams that I might put in my Final Four. So I'm like, is this really a national championship team? And that puts me in like a brain fog. But if I had to put it there, I think Arizona is more talented than Marquette. I think Marquette's a really fun team to watch. I love the way they play the basketball game. I love the edge that they have. But when it comes down to it, whenever you play a team like Arizona that has that much talent on their team, it's just hard. It's really hard to win those games.
You know, Ty, after looking at this, I don't think we got the Final Four right. Can we go back a bit? Can we take a look at this again?
We'll just restart it. We'll restart it.
Yeah,
back to 64.
Let's run it back tomorrow.
I would feel better about San Diego State in this position. I do agree.
What the? Okay.
All right, show of hands to veto at San Diego State.
I'm just messing with you.
It's Marquette in this situation. I think it's pretty clear. I think Arizona, I would think if you knew ball would match up with Alabama in the Elite Eight. Alabama would be winning that game, playing probably Marquette. Alabama would go on. So I don't see Marquette making the national championship whatsoever, but I like them a little bit better than this Arizona squad, which I just feel like they had a more talented squad last year and they didn't even make the Elite Eight. I don't see how the squad with less talent, somehow with bad guard play, like Courtney Ramey and Kirk Ariza is like, you want elite guards in March Madness, and like that's who your backcourt is. Like, come on, like.
What I don't understand is like, yeah, I mean, of course, sometimes teams, are more talented and they don't go as far. Yeah, or like that just happens. It's the NCAA tournament. Things get weird. Sometimes you don't live up to your fullest potential. And yeah, maybe Marquette's too far on this, but. I don't know. I kind of like Arizona here. I just have a weird feeling like I like Arizona a little bit more than Marquette, but also I'm confused how we got Arizona at this point. So,
you know how it got here.
It's fair. I'm going with Arizona. I'm putting my vote in for Arizona. Jamison?
I already said it. I was the one who broke
There's
whenever I was trying
yeah.
to explain my reasoning, just
But
because
did you pick a team?
Yeah, you picked
yes,
Arizona.
I picked Arizona, and I finally looped back on it, and I just said I just like their talent better.
We couldn't have the spicy like Marquette, Shaka Smart versus Texas.
That's kind of what I was hoping for, but
All right, so up next, second semifinal game, a Big 12 matchup, Texas versus Kansas. Who do we have?
is it me? Yeah.
It is you, Blake.
I think I just at this point I'm so lost. It's Texas. I think it's Texas. Texas has owned Kansas in the last 2 meetings. I like that matchup. I just think it's bad I think Texas is a little bit deeper. Not even just like positions like 1 through 8 per se, but it's more of just like what the lineups they can offer. They could get scoring from multiple different points. If we know ball here, Texas is winning the national championship in this movie. If they move on into the national championship, they're winning, which would be ironic on an OU podcast that Texas is our pick to win the national championship. And what I hope that you allow the ball to speak its truth and not allow biases to interfere with that. But I think Texas moves on. I just think they own Kansas.
I feel like in situations like this, Texas has won 2 out of 3 against Kansas this season. The team that has won more is at a disadvantage in the championship or at the later stage because there's a lot of tape.
Wait, didn't we have a similar conversation that was brought up in conference championship week on our football side of the podcast?
It's like there's like it's a complete myth of like you're like kind of like the get right or the like. It's honestly in college basketball. It's more if you beat them like 2 times and then meet them again, you're probably gonna beat them a 3rd time.
Okay, well, remind me, like which one of those games were we talking about? Because I feel like it ended up going the way we were talking about in the first place.
Don't even remember.
No, it's just like in college football, it's a general trend that if you meet again, it's gonna go. Everybody thinks.
It was TCU Kansas State. What happened with that, Blake?
No, we use this as anecdotal evidence. We use this as evidence throughout the entire podcast. That it's like all these teams play each other. Like for the most part, all these teams have played each other at one point in the season, and just because they beat them one time, there's not. People think there's like that revenge factor that just really isn't there from a statistical point of view.
Yeah, I mean, sure, fine. I think for me, it's just like rooted into my brain after OU swept Kansas in 1988 and then lost to them in the national championship game. So
it is ingrained. You really saw those games, Bobby.
I
didn't see them, but
it's really ingrained in there. You really lived.
No, it's ingrained in my head because my dad wouldn't shut up about it as a kid. He like loved telling me stories about how much Kansas and Danny Manning and the Miracles hurt him, and I just remember that because the thing that made him the most mad was that we beat Kansas twice that season. We swept them. They didn't even make the Big 12 tournament championship. This is not the time for that rant. We're 3 hours into this. I think Kansas gets their revenge on, or gets the upper hand on Texas here. They'll sell full strength. I don't think Texas makes it this far, but we'll see how it goes. Also, can I shout out Sean in the comments here? He commented at 8:04 and then commented again at like 10:36. Sean, if you're still listening, have you been listening to this entire pod? Because if so, man, mad props.
Attaboy, Sean. Woo!
Attaboy, Sean. I mean, love it.
All right.
Jamison.
Okay, for me to tie break. Ty, I'm gonna engage you real quick. You see my little picture on the side right here? See what's coming into the corner of the camera. Oh, it's a longhorn. Hook 'em horns. Texas has Kansas's number. I understand the Bill Self situation really was hard for Kansas to get back from, but losing by that many points in the Big 12 championship games, that's just so hard to. I understand they're gonna have chip on their shoulder. I love this Texas team. I really do. And I'll talk more about them here in the championship pick. But I think that Texas has Kansas's number, and it's going to be a really good game. It's not going to be another 20-point game, but still Texas wins.
By the way, Sean has been listening this entire time. That is
Sean's the man.
I love Sean. That is awesome. All right, Arizona, Texas. Ty, close us out.
I'm on mute. Arizona, Texas, in the Schooner Pod Natty. Two seeds facing off against each other. I'm not sure who is starting it, but do we have the Big 12 carrying the day, or do we have a team who will soon be in the Big 12 carrying the day over a future SEC team?
I'm not going to pick Texas. It's Arizona. That's it.
All right. Okay, that's all you got for our national championship.
I've been.
Okay,
what else do I have to say against Texas?
I know. Your heart is hurting right now, and it probably is going to continue to hurt as the Schooner Pod bracket may end up seeing Texas's national championship, because that is my winner for this bracket. And a little kind of like hint and look into Dirty Jaime's bracket, which you'll see if you join our bracket challenge. That will be posted in the show notes of this YouTube. We'll post it on Twitter and kind of push it to join our bracket challenge. I think the winner of my bracket, whoever in that Texas versus Gonzaga game, is what I think it's going to be, instead of the Kansas game in the Final Four. Texas Gonzaga in the Final Four. I think whoever wins that game is going to win the national championship. Texas is here. I really like Texas to beat Arizona.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but the OU podcast gonna have their national championship.
Oh, I just did the shocker. Hook 'em. Good.
Was Jamison playing both sides so he ended up on top? Was he trying to run with the San Diego State to make Blake mad, and then also bring up Texas to make me mad? Like, do like a
what happened? How did they figure this out?
I think
he totally was.
Oh man, that's the greatest thing, is whenever you have a giant ruse the whole time and it finally comes to fruition.
Was it actually?
It doesn't matter the whole time. Yeah, of course. I mean, I really like this Texas team, but I really was poking.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I really wish we got San Diego State closer to the final, so you would have had to choose.
No, I had to be realistic.
Yeah, all them ball lovers out there know that, like, Texas, you need elite guard play when it comes to March Madness, and Arizona does not offer that. So there is no way Arizona is going to win this national championship. Like, Kerr Ariza is not getting a ring. So you force me into a position where I have to start evaluating Texas. Oh. And like I said, for all the ball lovers, you need good guard play. And so I get that with Texas. I get something that when I close my eyes, I envision Texas in Houston hoisting the, or I guess cutting down the nets, not hoisting anything at that moment. But
they do host a thing.
Yeah, but I would say cutting down the net.
Weird little wooden plank.
Oh, yes, the generic trophies. But yeah, I think if Texas is a very logical option, which I don't think out of the left side of the bracket, we chose anything near logical coming out of there. So give me Texas.
Look at that. And Ty, do the honor, please. Yes, pick our final score.
The Schooner Pod selects Texas as our national champions. I think realistically, if we're looking at, obviously I don't know ball, Arizona, Texas matchup college basketball for our final score, because we all know this is going to be the actual natty. For our final score, let's go 84-76 in favor of
big
Texas. money.
How does it feel, Bob? Joke's on you now, boy.
Is it that bad? Is it that bad?
Yes.
It's frustrating.
If Texas wins the national championship, it would be very bad as an Oklahoma fan. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but no. That's not reality, though. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
Was
this
podcast experience bad? No. I had more fun with the San Diego State thing then I think Blake got joy out of the Texas thing, because Texas is actually like, they're a 2 seed. Blake was appalled.
He might even pick Texas as his champion in his bracket.
He might.
I told you I'm a ball lover, and ball lovers like this Texas squad.
As we know, he's a fan of the Texas Froghorns. So there you go.
Oh, the Texas Froghorns. That was really bad.
That's bad.
All right.
So,
okay,
anyways,
shall we cut her off?
That's our bracket. That's our bracket.
Give everyone your address, Bobby.
No. Hey, I want
doxes himself.
I need 2 Acuras. But anyways, this was the podcast show.
The podcast. God.
This is this is the Weekend Spread bracket show. Thank you so much for listening, particularly Sean, who went to the full 3 hours. Thank you for spending your time with us if you've reached us at this moment. We will see you at some indeterminate date, as long as our wives don't kill us. Have a good night, everyone, and enjoy March Madness. Sign up for the bracket challenge. It's in the show notes. Good night, and go Aztecs.